W253 DF Memphis with Dave Woloshin, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stack, Sportsworthy, and Brian Davis.
Welcome into Sports Time on a Monday afternoon. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. Landon Schmidt producing. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours. So much to get into this afternoon. You had the Nico story that we talked a lot about over the weekend, or I guess on Friday. It developed over the weekend. He's planning to enter the transfer portal. The Masters wrapped up yesterday evening with Rory McIlroy finally getting his Masters win. The NBA playoffs are officially set, with the Grizzlies set to go on the road against the Golden State Warriors for their first play-in game. Tiger basketball news over the weekend. Plenty to get into over these next 3 hours. But, Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm doing well and was visiting with Landon. Good afternoon to everyone who was visiting with Landon, having pleasantries, talking about the weekend. Had a great weekend. Went down to Oxford on Saturday. Enjoyed all the golf, sunshine, baseball, NBA, etc. Asked Landon how his weekend was going. How it went. He jumped out of an airplane this weekend.
Yeah, went skydiving. So
take that for the weekend topper.
Yeah, not something I would do, but hey, if that's your
thing.
What
was the feeling like before? Had you done it before, Landon?
No, that was my first time. It was incredible.
Holy, you know what?
I mean, all the people who were there. I mean, they tell you all their credentials and stuff. I've done so many jumps, and they were saying they had done like 15,000 jumps. I was like, did you mean 1,500? He's like, no, 15,000.
That's better than a guy. First time for me.
Yeah,
me too.
No kidding. But they were saying as soon as you're up there and you get to the free fall, like you just have no thoughts. It's just you're in free fall. It's the freest your mind will ever feel. And
was it that?
It was factual. I mean, I didn't have a thought until I touched back on the ground. I was like, oh yeah, I just jumped out of an airplane.
At what point do they tell you to pull the plug to?
Well, so
parachute.
Your first, I think, what they were telling us is the first 25 times you go, you have to be attached to somebody. So they're doing all the work for you. You're just attached to them, enjoying the ride. So they're the one that's deploying the parachute, holding on to you, making sure you're secure. Only thing they tell you is just to be like a banana and bend and just.
So you didn't pull a parachute. It was one that you were attached to.
Yes, I was attached to the man with the parachute.
Much
safer in his hands with 15,000 jumps than me doing this for the first time in my life. But
it'd be a hell of a time to get up there and he goes, really got bad financial problems. Wife and I are having troubles. I'm not pulling this parachute. Sorry.
That was good.
Now you tell me.
Well, the guy actually told me a little bit of his story. He's like, I've got kids. I've got a nice truck. I want to return to all that stuff. I was like, okay, yeah. It's like, hey, I'm trusting you all the more going forward.
I'm good now. Yeah.
How about that? What a birthday celebration!
Oh, fantastic!
And I applaud it. I like the spirit. Never would do it, Brian. Would you?
No. It's not something I would probably do.
I'm not scared to fly. I'm not scared of heights. I'm not jumping out of an airplane if I can help it.
Heights are my arch nemesis. So
are they?
Oh yeah.
I have nothing there.
No, I do not do well high above the ground. So yeah, skydiving would not be in the cards for me.
It really wasn't that bad.
Well.
I mean, as soon as the door opens and you get the icy, chilly breeze.
Great. Where'd y'all take off from? What Arkansas town?
It was in London. It was a little place in London. Got up to 10,500 feet. Door cracked open, and then we were just free falling.
Right.
And then landed and played golf.
Yeah, landed, then went over to play some golf.
All right.
And then, by the way, had Rory McIlroy. Way to go, Landon, your first week of golf picks with us.
I know.
Yeah, congratulations.
And then the Mets shutting out the A's. I mean,
Look at that.
What a weekend, huh?
You'll get a
Makes it look easy, doesn't it?
That's right.
He jumped out of a darn airplane
Oh,
this
yeah,
weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What did you do? Yeah, I just sat on the
I
couch
wish you could have
all
pushed
weekend.
Shane Lowry out of an airplane for me.
Well, it wasn't a good weekend for Shane Lowry. You'll get
81 yesterday. 81.
Well, it's not easy to do, honestly. I don't know which is harder, being a professional
By the end of the day, I was calling
shooting
him
an 81 or winning the
Salt
whole
Shane,
thing.
not sugar.
Well, yeah, it was not a good weekend for him. But yes, congratulations.
Most work
Landon.
he did was hugging Rory.
Oh, he gave him a good old bear hug. It was that was a good hug. But you will not get any more congratulations after this week. First weekend, your first tournament, get a win.
We've turned Brian.
You
into
get a
an animal.
congratulations.
I hope
After that,
hope his parents and
know.
Melinda can
Brett,
forgive me.
Brett, we
if I
call
made him like this.
we call that being a hater.
well,
Well,
call it what you want.
but Landon, we told you weeks ago. Things change over the golf picks, don't they, Brian?
They do.
I mean, that normal,
I'm ready for
casual break room, down the hallway, in the control room, during breaks. You know, all the it's all really got thrown out with the NC tournament bracket.
Yeah, no, but it definitely gets ugly. With,
Then wait till Friday football forecast when we really turn
that's
into
right.
animals.
That's right. Then it really gets ugly. So, yes, but no, Rory McIlroy, he gets the win finally, and you could see the emotion afterwards. He was happy.
Poor guy was
have that done.
tormented, wasn't he?
Man.
I never
Absolutely.
realized it.
Oh, I mean, I think you could start seeing it over the last couple of years that this is really starting to eat at him. But then, yes, that celebration afterwards, you could really
Do you
tell.
think there are blown at Open Championship, blown last year at Pinehurst number 2? Do you think that's what did it, or was it there, or just the accumulation of maybe coughing up wins?
I mean, it could be the accumulation of all of it, and obviously how yesterday was playing out. It certainly looked like he was begging somebody to come and take it from him. But I also think every single year we get to the Masters, and the first question, the first topic that everyone is talking about is, well, can Rory get it done this year? And every single year he doesn't. And he has to leave there going, well, next year I get to hear the same exact thing of how I didn't get it done this time. And so finally, he goes out there and does what he needs to do and wins it. And I think you just saw that kind of relief of finally, I did it, and this will not be a conversation anymore.
I starting the day. Now, let me be clear. I'm fine. I'm glad. I'm one of the greats of all time. Now there's no denying it. In that league he's in with slam winners. But I was not for him on the first tee yesterday. I was for the American. I was for. I thought it would be Bryson DeChambeau pushing him, and got out to the quick lead. And to anybody that has any kind of revulsion or I can't believe you'd be that guy. I was not anti, and I'm fine that he won it. But I ask anybody out there that thinks that that's some kind of maybe stodgy or not how they would have pulled. Come September, late September, early October, when we're at the Ryder Cup, who's everybody going to be for? Bryson or Rory?
Bryson, USA,
of course.
USA.
Of course. But and does it just take the uniform on? Does it? Next summer at World Cup, people that don't know. Well, I don't even know enough about soccer to throw out a rule. Do they? What's the equivalent in soccer to icing?
I mean, offsides.
Offsides,
is probably
okay.
the biggest one. Yeah.
Or a hands penalty or something.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Next summer, they know no more than I just tried to describe.
Right.
They're going to be cheering USA all the way. Any platform diver at the Olympics against the Belgian diver, they're far.
Of course.
So why wouldn't it be yesterday?
I don't know.
Now it was not enough that I was dug in about it. I was fine about it. Had a friend text me during it. Isn't this great? I said, yeah, it's real great. It is.
Yeah.
It was one of the 2 or 3 top days ever in the history of the Masters. But I was for Bryson DeChambeau. Quickly realized, and he kind of disappeared mid-round, that he wasn't going to win it. And then I did. I wanted Rory McIlroy to close it out. But that putt on 18, his 18th hole, before the one extra hole, and the graphic popped up in the top screen. Not putting to win, not putting to take the lead, putting to win the Grand Slam.
Yeah. At least he couldn't see the scoreboard.
I'm glad he couldn't have.
That's pressure right there.
It made me nervous, and then Nance was ready with his.
was.
I won't say. I'm sure not saying it ugly, but maybe prepackaged, maybe thought about how he was going to end.
Oh yeah.
Speechless.
Oh, absolutely.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And then when he did win, I just saw this tweet after he won, and that wave of emotion. I never realized that it had tormented and affected him. So I did not. I'm sorry. I was that blind to it. In 7 minutes, CBS between Nance and Trevor Immelman basically went quiet.
Yeah.
Between them, only 46 words spoken.
Wow.
They let the picture do the talking.
Yeah, no, they absolutely did. There's the video is going around. I saw a similar tweet with the video last night. I mean, yeah, it is just you just let it play out, and the picture will do the talking for you, and it really did. I mean, the emotion that he had, him walking through, everybody cheering him. Every once in a while would run into somebody that he knew and would give them a big hug, and it was just.
I thought he might collapse to his knees again.
No, I mean
after leaving the green,
I definitely thought he would, and then I thought the best part was there was a group of guys that obviously he knows, friends with. He goes over at the very end and goes over and hugs.
And one of them is Caddy, one of the best names in
man.
golf world, Chubby Chandler.
Oh, it's a great name, and so he's hugging these guys, and they're all
his agent. I said Caddy, his agent.
Right, and they're saying you finally did it, and he hugs.
And
all
wrong word
of them.
came out too from one of them.
There was a couple words that got slipped out everywhere, but then he gets done hugging them, and he goes, "I'm gonna go get that green jacket," and turns around and walks in.
Cool.
Like, oh man, that was awesome.
And, watching the Masters for however long I've watched it, and being there in 2019 for Tiger, that's going to be number one for me for all time. 86 Nicklaus. They mentioned 75, 50 years ago, and had a lot of tributes to it over the weekend. But that was as good as it gets. Yeah. The number of Masters fans. There's a different group out there. There's golf fans, and Memphis we are a great golf town, and have one of, I think, the best sporting event we have is the FedEx St. Jude Championship. So, there are a lot of golf fans out there, but there are just Masters fans.
Oh, absolutely.
Yesterday created a lot of both.
Oh, yeah. No, a lot of my friends, if you ask them in 2 weeks, hey, man, you seen the leaderboard at, whatever tournament they go.
They're not going to check in with the Zurich Classic. That's cool.
I have no idea what you're talking about, right?
We'll do it for them, won't we?
Oh, absolutely. We'll keep you locked in, but, from last Thursday up until last night, every single text message I was getting from them was, oh man, look out, Justin Rose getting hot. Oh wait, here he comes. Oh no, Bryson. Oh no, Rory. I mean, it was all weekend. So you're definitely right. There's a lot of people that just tune in for the Masters. And so then when you can have a finish like that yesterday, I do think it will have people wanting to come back and wanting to watch more golf, which I think is definitely good for the game. This is one that is actually good for the game, unlike Live Golf.
Yeah, it is, and that win important for us in Memphis, because if Bryson DeChambeau wins, and I consciously thought about this when I was kind of who am I for. If he wins, we know we're not getting him in August.
Yeah, that's right. No, he left there, and he left there yesterday. He's going right back to Live, and we'll see him.
I'll tell you what Rory will do. Rory's always been good to and good about Memphis and St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and the great people at FedEx that have been the backbone of the PGA Tour for a long, long, long time. Rory will sell a bunch of tickets come August.
Oh, yes, he will. He absolutely will.
And that's good for Memphis.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. I didn't even really think of that, but you're absolutely right. That definitely helped it. But no, I wasn't really for anybody going. If Ludwig, if he had, been able to rally, which he did there for a minute.
He sure was tied for the lead, wasn't he?
He was.
At one point.
It was a three-way tie. Him, Rose, and Rory for a second.
Oh, he's got a sharp game.
He sure does. But just couldn't stay locked in late. And
a few more laps around the track.
Oh, yeah.
He's a little experienced.
Still
now, Brian, last week, my hat I brought to you from the Masters. You didn't wear it any. Have you lost it?
Yeah, it's somewhere. I just gotta find it.
I noticed it last
somewhere.
week.
It's somewhere. Yeah, it's somewhere.
I thought you'd break it out. Special appearance.
I was hoping. I was looking for it.
And it brings up and I'm going to say this, and if there's blowback, let it be.
Okay.
I truly believe there's no tournament that people take pride in more than the Masters.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody that's ever been, anybody that's got gear, hat, bat, balls, T-shirts, sweaters, outerwear, underwear, anywhere, you wear it last week. In Oxford on Saturday, there were 3 logos out. Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Masters logos. People wear it with pride.
Yep.
People love that tournament, and they show the gear off because they love that tournament.
No, they absolutely do. And, I saw this one video of a guy, and he was wearing his Masters gear last week, and he goes, I was fortunate enough to be able to go to the Masters a couple years ago. I have a ton of gear. And he goes, but I feel like I can only wear it this week, because if I wear it any other week outside of Masters week, I just feel like I'm just being that guy that's telling everybody that I've been to the Masters. And he's like, I don't want to be that guy. He's like, so I only wear it this week.
I am that guy, and I do wear it.
Hey, I say wear it. If you got it, wear it, show it off.
I wore a sweater on Friday that a late friend of mine bought for me at the 1990 Masters tournament.
Holy cow.
It turned 35 last Friday.
Holy cow.
And I take care of it as best I can.
That is incredible.
Because I miss him, and I like thinking of him when I wear it.
Well, that is really cool. It was a fun tournament all weekend long. We'll talk a lot about it. So let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, we'll talk a ton of Masters. Rory, he gets the win, completes the career Grand Slam. We'll talk about everything that led up to that win for Rory McIlroy. 3:45, we'll talk the Grizzlies. We now know who they will play in the play-in. They will play the Golden State Warriors tomorrow night on the road. 9 p.m. tip. We'll talk about what they did over the weekend and this matchup tomorrow night against Golden State. 4 o'clock, David Cobb from CBS Sports will join us, talk college football and college basketball. Plenty to get to with David Cobb, but the biggest story, Nico will enter the transfer portal. He's already filed his paperwork when that officially reopens on Wednesday. 4:30, we'll talk NBA playoffs, the play-in schedule, the playoff schedule, how it all sets up for this week. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, DeMichael Cole, the Grizzlies beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. He'll join us. We'll talk about the Grizzlies and the play-in game tomorrow night against Golden State. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. And at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. It's pool time. They're already booking pool installs for 2025 at Family Leisure. Buy now and get on the list for your pool installation. 2024 pool starting at $19.99 installed. Liner starting at $299. All pool accessories up to 20% off, and 5 to 6 person hot tubs starting at $69.99. Swim spas and cold plunge tubs $2,000 off. Patio furniture up to 50% off of their select sets. And if you mention this ad, get free installation only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Produced by golf picker extraordinaire and skydiver extraordinaire Landon Schmidt. Glad to have you back, Landon. Connor was great with us on Friday. We're glad to have Landon back producing us today. We're Sportstime. We're with you until 6 o'clock. He's Bryant. I'm Brett. You can reach us by texting or calling 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. Always from our Family Leisure Studios. And this is the time of the year to head to Family Leisure and get ready for summer. Get ready to get outdoors and get on the patio and really enjoy the outdoors. Let Family Leisure take care of everything for you. This hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2025 models and always special leasing options. Driving luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but they want you to stop by the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day has got to be The Nico story out of Knoxville. We talked about it a lot on Friday.
Tough times to be named Nico.
Well, yeah, very tough times to be named Nico. Yeah.
GM of Dallas.
Yeah, I don't think there are going to be a lot of babies being named Nico the next couple years in Dallas or Knoxville. But hey, if things had gone the other way, maybe they would have. But
remember when he was going to be the next Peyton Manning?
Yo, Brett.
Every Tennessee fan I ran into Saturday ran him down.
You're
running down the next Peyton Manning.
Everybody's running him down now that he wants out. But the story only developed for the worse after we got off air Friday night. Late Friday night, it started being reported that he would not play in the spring game, and then Saturday morning, it was announced that he would be leaving the program and entering the transfer portal. There's been a lot written about it. There's been a lot of spots that people are wondering maybe he could land there. You've seen the California schools, UCLA, USC. You've seen maybe Oregon. You've seen, places like even Maryland could go after him. But I did see one crystal ball on 247 has been logged.
Maryland has a football team?
They do, Brett. Yes, they do.
Sorry, Greg. Just kidding.
And they could always use a quarterback. But there was a crystal ball logged on 247 Sports that had him going to North Carolina. So maybe Bill Belichick could go out there and get a quarterback. But I did read a story over on The Athletic earlier this morning talking about how it could be a little awkward for him to enter the transfer portal after spring, that not many high-profile quarterbacks enter that late, and that most teams have decided who's going to be their quarterback and what kind of money that player is going to make in the last transfer portal, in December, in January, and that could affect him. He'll probably still get around what he wants, but the options are not going to be out there like they would be if he had entered the transfer portal after
for the next
season.
Peyton Manning, there's no options.
No. Well, I didn't say no options. I said not as many options for the next Peyton Manning. Somebody will want the next Peyton Manning. Just might not be the school that he really wants to go to.
Trust me, Tennessee fans. I've lived this. Every quarterback from 1970 on was going to be the next Archie Manning at Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah. When you have a quarterback that's great, and then you have another quarterback coming along that's this highly touted, highly recruited, it usually becomes that next great whoever.
And except for one, maybe two, and one shared the same name.
Oh, wow.
The next Archie Manning hadn't come along yet.
No.
Yeah, they don't make them that often. My top story, Grand Slam finally completed. Hall of Fame. Golf immortality was already assured for Rory McIlroy, but now in a special category that Phil Mickelson won't ever attain. Time's run out for him. And Jordan Spieth, clock ticking for him, is now the one on Slam watch. He needs that PGA championship. He needs it next month. A win next month at Quail Hollow for Jordan Spieth at the PGA Championship would be the unthinkable. Back-to-back majors with back-to-back slams completed.
Crazy.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh.
I'm kind of for that. I hope it happens. With Rory's win, we know for sure in the 68th FedEx St. Jude Championship come August, we will have the Masters champion. We wouldn't have if Bryson DeChambeau had won.
That's a great point.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, the NBA playoffs are set, and we now know the Grizzlies will have to go on the road to play the Golden State Warriors in the 7-8 play-in game. If they lose that game, if they win, they'll go and play the Houston Rockets. If they lose that game, they'll have to turn around and play the winner of the other play-in game, which is the Dallas and Sacramento. So could be two games this week to try to get into the playoffs. But yesterday there were a lot of storylines going on with the Grizzlies in action, but resting everybody, knowing that they would be in that 8th spot. And so you were really paying attention to what was going on in Minnesota and what was going on in the big game between the Clippers and the Golden State Warriors. And that game, which was on ESPN, I think a lot of people rooting for the Clippers in that one. After we've seen what the Clippers have been able to do against the Grizzlies this year, look out for them. I certainly did not want to play them in a play-in game. And so definitely, if you had to pick one of those after Minnesota had won before that game had ended, definitely would rather see the Warriors than the Clippers. And so we'll see tomorrow night. Will the Grizzlies be ready to go? Can they pull the upset against the Warriors? If not, we talked about it a lot last week. Really a lose-lose situation. You win that second playing game, you go and play OKC. You lose it, well, we know what happens then. Your season's over.
Brian, my not top story, I take you back to Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. That was Grizzlies opening night on these very airwaves.
Yeah.
On 560 AM, on 98.5 FM from our Family Leisure Studios.
Yeah.
We made NBA picks.
Oh, geez.
And we made Grizzlies win proclamations.
Okay.
You know what mine was?
What was it?
48 wins.
Wow.
You see it? Right there.
I do. I see it.
48 wins.
Wow. How about that?
Oh, you Grizzlies podcasters. Y'all need to have me on your show.
Yeah. Ugh.
Let me set you straight about the NBA. 48 wins for the Grizzlies. To further the veracity of my preseason picks, I read down even further.
Oh, geez.
Rookie of the Year, Zach Edey.
Well, it came on late, really
Swing and a
strong at
miss.
the end of the season,
Thank you for trying to pick me up, Brian. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's about all
Coach
I
of the
got.
Year? You ready?
Taylor Jenkins.
You got it.
Well, I can't defend that one. I mean, he doesn't have a job.
Exactly 48 wins as I predicted on opening night, but it didn't feel satisfying, did it? Maybe pull the upset at Chase Center in San Francisco tomorrow night, and we'll have a different attitude about things. 48 wins, 8th most in the 24 years. 24, that's how long the Grizzlies have been here. 24 years, 48 wins, 8th most, but it feels unfulfilling, doesn't it? Fired coach, unreliable star, bad roster composition, and feels like headed nowhere fast in the postseason.
Yeah. 8th most, and it gets you 8th place. It's tough out in the West. The fact that only 2 games separated the Grizzlies, who finished in 8th, and the Lakers, who finished in 3rd. I mean, that's how wild the Western Conference was this year.
Don't even get me started down on the maintenance stuff
man.
on that game March 1st against San Antonio.
Oh, yeah.
The 2 losses to Brooklyn, the maintenance, and March 1st.
Yep.
I'm trying to work through.
Well, then let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a lot about the Masters. Rory gets the win. We'll talk about everything that happened over the weekend next on Sports Time.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Penstoff Realtors. I'm often called Shell Done because I sell homes and work with buyers and I get the job done. There are 7 keys to successfully selling your home quickly at a great price. First, call me. I do my research and advise you on preparation, presentation, and proper pricing that gets you the activity to get the best price. Follow my advice and it can happen. I did mention 7 keys to a successful sale, didn't I? Well, if you use the first key, calling or emailing me, you really don't need the next 6 keys. Remember, that's Sheldon Rosengarten at 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. If you don't need me now, write it down for later or for a friend. That's Sheldon at 483-0546 at MemphisRelocate.com. Do it now, and who knows, you may hear your home advertised here. Remember, as bad a golfer as I am, when selling homes, Shell Done gets it done.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I pluck mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Five-Ash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. 5-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you. Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in-bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
It's the Freedom of Choice pricing program, Ram Truck Month and Jeep Celebration all in one at Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat on the Pike. 2025 Compass Latitude 4x4, $49.69 off MSRP at $24,796 with Jeep Select Terrain System. Go from snow, sand, and mud. 2024 Dodge Hornet RT all-wheel drive, $12,673 off, or $397 a month with a turbocharged 2.0-liter engine standard. One of the most powerful SUVs in its class, or 0% for 72 months is available. 2025 Ram 1500 Tradesman Crew Cab with best-in-class payload capacity, now $13,335 off MSRP, or 1.9 for 72 is available. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat online at GossettMotorCars.net. If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
6704, MSRP 29765, Hornet R3A08 452, MSRP 44620, Ram SN 673 402, MSRP 517, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title license, see dealer for complete details, offer valid to end of the month with approved credit, dealer stock only.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is the East Church downtown Memphis. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Steady flow of traffic right now trying to get south of Memphis as it builds down 55 through South Haven all the way down into DeSoto County. Still moving out here right now, going outbound on Sam Cooper, passing Perkins as it cranks up just a little bit more through the Midtown area. Nothing too unusual yet here on 240 southbound at South Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry, serving Memphis now for what? Over 40 years? No matter what the occasion is, you'll save a lot of money by shopping local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Service. Here are your hosts, Let's Talk Sports with Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure studios. And we got to talk more about the Masters. Rory, he picks up the win, but it was in dramatic fashion. He entered the day a 3-shot lead over Bryson DeChambeau. And then very quickly, first hole, he double bogeys, and after that, it was very up and down afternoon for Rory. Ultimately needs the playoff hole against Justin Rose, but is able to get the win on that very first playoff hole to secure the career Grand Slam, only the 6th player to get the career Grand Slam. It really was. We talked about to start the show. It was a really, really touching and fun scene to watch yesterday afternoon. Seeing him, be able to win that and just the emotion that he showed after winning it.
It was, and I thought leaving the 12th green after he made par after birdieing the 2 or 3 toughest holes on the course, 11 probably would be 1, 11, 4. Anyway, I thought he had it. Smokes his drive on 13 and makes the smart, safe play, and really his trouble through the years in some of these collapses has not been judgment. It's been really a lot of bad luck because he can hit every circus shot. The shot on 7, he couldn't believe. I mean, he just laughed, and you could tell he thought that was just stupid luck that I just pulled off. And then a chip shot for those guys that is just nothing. I mean, it's just nothing to it. And into Ray's Creek, and then he bounds around and has trouble and ups and downs, and then misses the I thought easy putt on 18 after smoking his driver. I think his driver won the weekend for him.
Yeah, I mean he was great off the tee box, really all weekend, and certainly yesterday, and was able to bounce back from a couple woes. I mean, there were a couple times yesterday where I thought, okay, this is. This
not gonna work
this
out.
ain't going to work out again. We're going to be talking again about how he choked
Would
away.
he have recovered from it, Bryant?
Oh,
I think it seals him.
I think so, too. I mean, I think we...
In any competition, just week to week, he always gets a second win at Ryder Cup time. I tell, for all the people that are so enjoying it, I'm going to chuckle when y'all all hate him when we get to Ryder Cup time.
Yeah. Oh, but that's the colors, Brad. I mean, it is the red, white, and blue. I mean, USA versus everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. Even Rory goes for you too. So
yeah, right.
It's very different. But no, I mean, I thought at times he was waiting, begging somebody to come and take it from him, but then was able to bounce back seemingly every time. And honestly, I thought when he missed that putt on 18. I said, all right, Justin, congratulations. You just won the Masters, and, it's going to be another year. I thought back of when he, lost and, sped off out of the tournament, and, that was a big story. I go, we're going to see that again, and it's going to be, he's going to blow everyone off and leave immediately, and it's going to be a big scene. And
go straight to Bob Rotella.
Yeah, I thought all that was going to happen.
A padded room.
Yeah, well, yeah, he might have needed it, but none of that happened. Crisis averted, and he gets to celebrate.
All's well that ends well.
Absolutely.
Ryder Cup is at Bethpage Black, right in New York, and we know how tough those galleries, how rough they were on Sergio one year at a U.S. Open. Boy, Sergio's going to catch it at the Ryder Cup.
Yes, he will.
But I do see, and I even mentioned it, that now everything is so international, especially in baseball, I think has always been, NBA and in golf. It's really hard for me to, okay, so this week I'm supposed to hate Rory McIlroy.
That's right.
This week, I've jokingly said the biggest Ryder Cup victory parties when the Euros win, it's at the Breakers in Palm Beach. That's where they all live.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they're not going back to, Ballybunion and celebrating.
No. They're staying in the States. They're just going somewhere extremely nice.
I mean, they're American in everything they do, except for every 2 years in the Ryder Cup.
That's right. When they have to have the the flag beside them and say that they're not American.
And a little bit manufactured contempt and disdain.
Absolutely.
And, in the last time Rory was wanting to fight Joe LaCava.
Sure was, yeah. Well, that was the thing. I mean, if Rory chokes that one away yesterday, Ryder Cup could have gotten really ugly.
Sure could have. And I will go back to that again. I don't know what the dust-up was about, but Rory doesn't need to be wanting to fight anybody. No. But the bat boy doesn't need to be talking stuff to the players
also
either.
True. Yes. Stay in your lane. You're holding the bag. Just be good at that. And that's great.
Your big thing is 7-iron.
Exactly.
And you hand them a 7-iron.
Hey, everyone needs one, But hey, stay in your lane. You stay over there. Stay on the bag. We'll stay out here on the golf course.
But it was fun how it ended. Did in your lifetime, does that rank as the best Masters or 2019 with Tiger? Or any of the Tigers?
2019 was pretty good.
Way up there.
It's
one thing that hurt 2019 was the time of the presentation of it because of the weather.
That's right.
It was all wrapped up really by like a British Open often's over, right after lunch.
Yeah.
Yesterday we had the all day drama building, right up to 60 minutes.
Oh yeah. Well, and I would say this is probably top 3 with 2019. I'm just leaving a space open for another one. But I think how it ended yesterday, getting the playoff hole, his reaction, seeing, like you mentioned, that nearly 7 minutes where it's just him, his emotions, celebrating the win, the way that it was painted out on CBS.
Great job.
It was phenomenal, and it is going to be one that's remembered for a really long time.
It was really, for a lot of people, just really spellbinding TV. It was it for the millionth time. It's why sports is the best reality show, because we're just not guaranteed how it would finish. Bryson DeChambeau after the weekend. What your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a collapse yesterday. It felt like was in a good spot. It felt like his energy was really good going into the fourth round. I was really hoping, especially when Rory doubles on one and, we've got, really a competition. I thought that was going to be the whole afternoon, is them just trading blows and, coming down to the end. And then, I mean, you look up, I had to run somewhere. I come back. When I left, he was like in third. I come back.
Not on the first page.
His name's nowhere to be found. I'm like, what happened to Bryson?
Did he quit?
And my buddy's like, yeah.
He kind of checked out.
Oh, yeah. My buddy, I left my buddy at the house, and I went and had to run an errand. And I come back and go, what happened to Bryson? He goes, yeah, it hadn't been good. And I was like, no kidding. So, yeah, it was rough for Bryson, and he is very much an emotional guy, and, the highs are really high, the lows are really low, and so I think it was one of those things where a couple shots didn't go his way early yesterday, and, he just kind of flatlined.
And that double bogey for Rory McIlroy on number one, it's a yard from being at worse apart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just another yard. He's got flip wedge in, 10 foot, make the putt or not. Then you move on, and that was really the biggest hope for DeChambeau to win it, to win it that day. The crowd, both there and I think watching, was overwhelmingly for Rory, wasn't it?
It felt like it. Just seeing all the reactions and seeing them. The best part was seeing the reactions from everyone sitting at 18, just waiting.
When they post scores.
When they post scores.
Great.
It was awesome. And I had a couple buddies over yesterday watching, and one of my buddies is not a golf guy whatsoever. He was just over to hang out. So he's watching. He goes, are these people just sitting there watching the scoreboard? And I go, that's exactly what they're doing. Yeah, I go, nobody's on 18 right now. They're just watching. He goes, well, why is it like such excitement? So I have to explain to him, like, well, nobody has their cell phones. And so, like, they're literally just sitting there.
You're landlocked.
They've heard, like, roars from other places on the course, but they have no idea what's going on. So they're literally just waiting to see what score gets put up on the scoreboard. And his mind was blown. He was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, it's a beautiful thing. And so, yeah.
The Masters roars are real.
Oh, it was, and it was huge yesterday, some of those roars from the television. But yeah, it felt like a big percentage of the people there and watching were for Rory yesterday.
It created a lot of fans of golf and of the Masters.
Oh, definitely.
Going forward. Now there's only I had one of my New Year's picks, New Year's predictions, was Scotty Scheffler would win the Grand Slam. Well, he's not going to.
No.
Only one can.
That's right.
And it's pretty wheelhouse, the spots for him.
It sure is. It sure is. And wouldn't that be a story? I mean, already this is now his third win of the year. So, I mean, kind of rolling right along. Really good start to the season.
Was it anybody you were watching? I know you were for Ludwig Oberg, and he played well. His time's coming, as we talked about. But was anybody else you were watching hoping they would? I didn't mind Justin Rose flirting with it. And if he had won, he'd have been a low man. Fine.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think once Ludwig was out of it, Bryson, if he was still kind of around, I probably would have been rooting for him. But once it was McIlroy and Rose towards the end, I was definitely rooting for McIlroy. Nothing against Justin Rose. I just like Rory better. And I kind of was having that conversation with my dad because he was like, it feels like a lot of younger people really like Rory. And, I think I talked about last week, Rory, I don't have a hatred for Rory. I don't necessarily love him.
Me either.
I definitely don't hate him. And I feel like for a lot of people around my age, we really saw the star Rory. We were kind of growing up as Rory was taking over. And so I think that comes a lot of, from ages 20 to 35 or 40, Rory was the biggest thing. When you were in high school and college and really getting into golf, Rory was the biggest thing. So I think for a lot of people, seeing him do that yesterday was really cool.
Brian, that's a great assessment. Really crystallizes, I think, for a lot of us of where the younger fan is, and you know who motivated every one of those guys.
Oh, I mean, it's that
Big
guy.
Cat.
It starts with Tiger. It always does.
I call him the sons of Tiger.
Well, that's what
he created these robots, these great players.
When I think you're seeing a lot of, at least I've seen them since Rory won yesterday, videos and stories and stuff like that of, once he was called the next Tiger. And just that idea of the next Tiger, and kind of the point being now he joins them.
Try living with that.
Oh, I mean that's impossible. But
there's a lot of them, man. I'm sorry what it kind of did here locally to two great players, two great people, great families, David Gossett and Casey Wittenberg.
Yeah.
From Conway, Arkansas, Bryce Mulder. They're going to be the next Tiger.
Yeah.
That's tough.
It's real tough.
That's kind of like being the next Peyton Manning at UT.
Well, yeah. And you
Check back with me.
Yeah, see how that works out most
next
of the time.
Archie at Ole Miss.
Exactly. It usually doesn't work out. And so
our friend John Varlas from the Daily Memphian, great reporter, great golf reporter, great preps reporter, great sports writer. I think the quintessential sports writer.
Absolutely.
He sends to me, Hi Hardwin,
Ooh.
is the next career Grand Slam winner currently on tour?
Ooh.
Because if it's not Phil, he's not going to do it. If it's not Spieth, and Spieth is, boy, he's got all kind of things going on, doesn't he?
Oh, man.
In his head.
He absolutely does.
Maybe Scotty Scheffler.
Maybe Scotty. I mean, that would certainly be the easy answer.
But he's only won. He's won two majors, but one place.
That's right. Yeah. So that's still a lot of work to be done. But yeah.
Is that right? Is Scotty? Yeah, Scotty hadn't won another major anywhere, has he?
No, I think it's just the Masters. I could be wrong. We'll check on that.
Could be too.
But no, I mean it's a really hard thing to. I mean that's why only 6 people have done it. It is very hard to do that, and so maybe not. I hope so. I hope we're watching a guy that will do that again. But I don't have a lot of confidence.
Someday,
in it.
Could it be Ludwig Oberg?
It could be. I mean, what he has done with as young as he is, he certainly could do that. But I don't know. Maybe we see him. Maybe we don't. But you're right about Spieth. I mean, both Spieth and his best friend Justin Thomas. I mean, two very talented golfers. But man,
extremely,
it just cannot get anything going, and it's all mental.
Just two Masters for Scheffler.
Yeah.
I hit the Google machine. Yeah. But they can, and for Spieth, he's getting ready to start feeling the little bit of the Rory heat every time he goes to a PGA Championship. Starting a month from now at Quail Hollow.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be somebody. Now we can't talk about Rory at all these majors. So I think Jordan will certainly feel a lot of that heat. But really fun over the weekend seeing Rory pull off that win. But let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we return, we'll talk about the Grizzlies. 2 games over the weekend, and now we know who they'll face in the play-in. There'll be Golden State tomorrow night, a late night game, 9 p.m. on TNT. We'll talk about that next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Tito's handmade vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, the beyond a bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Hey, everybody, want to know where all the Chevys are? Where all the deals are? Right here in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. Save thousands on your new Silverado truck. Financing as low as 2.9 for 72 months. A new 2500 HD has financing as low as 3.9 and no payments for 90 days. Nothing beats having no payments most of the summer. Absolutely nothing. You could take an extra vacation, and your good credit deserves it. If you're law enforcement, first responder, healthcare, military, education, recent grad, you get an extra $500 bonus. And All-Star has all the late model pre-owns you're looking for. Camaro, Equinox, Tahoe, Suburban, and tons of Silverados. And if you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it here to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch and get the most money for it today. Everyone here at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch asked me to wish you and your family a very happy Easter month. So together, let's drive, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Judging from the crowds, it's clear that Memphis has figured out that Sunrise on Jefferson and Sunrise on Poplar are the best places in Memphis to get a hot, fresh breakfast or a tasty, delicious lunch. Yes, there is always a crowd at both Sunrise locations, but because it is policy at Sunrise to get you your food as quickly as possible, you'll never have to wait long to get a seat or to get your food. Speed and quality are the two most important things to every Sunrise employee, making sure your experience at Sunrise is one you'll want to talk about.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Hernando, Little Rock, and Cleveland, Mississippi specializes in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds. Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and will flooring your business.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 12,000 miles per year, $49.99 due at signing. Must finance through KFA, K4, SEO 873.49, MSRP 25,320, Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30,660, Telluride SG 596,204, MSRP 41,060. Includes all rebates and incentives. Fee of $895. Excludes tax title license with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 5/2/25. Hey, I got my buddy on the line. Hey, Jeff Allen, it's always awesome to see what's going on over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah. What you got up your sleeve?
I'm making magic, Randy. I've got a new ride under $6 a day. 2025 Kia K4 LXS, $159 a month. 2025 Kia Sportage EX, $269 per month. And get more power, larger cargo area than a Nissan Pathfinder in a 2025 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive, $398 a month. All $49.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
We're online at KiaMountMoriah.com.
Now, back to Sports Time. Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Cars. Here are your hosts, Let's Talk Sports with Brian Gates.
All right, back into Sports Time. Brian Brett with you. We got to talk about the Grizzlies. They had 2 games over the weekend. Yesterday, it was a win over Dallas, a game where they only had 8 active players. A starting lineup put together by Cam Spencer, Vince Williams Jr., G.G. Jackson, Lamar Stevens, and Marvin Bagley III. Everybody sitting out. Jay Huff, John Conchar, Yuki Kawamura coming off the bench. But that came after Friday night's loss to Denver, a game that, if you wanted to kind of still be in the conversation, maybe either host, play-in, or maybe get the 6, which felt pretty unlikely after losing to Minnesota. You really needed Friday night against Denver. Couldn't get it done. 117-109. Grizzlies right in there, leading after 3 quarters, and then outscored 25-14 in the 4th quarter to go on to lose by 8 points. Jokic was awesome. Aaron Gordon was awesome. Grizzlies, the stars looked good, but just could not get anything going in that 4th quarter. I mean, only 14 points, shot 22% from the field in that quarter. It's a lot of these, we talk about them really all year, where in these big games, it's that one quarter that really sticks out and becomes the reason that led to the loss.
A little bit like the trapdoor feeling from last year.
Yep.
But this year, all the players are back, and still a lot of squandered last 6-8 minutes of poor play. And the Grizzlies after Friday night, really after Thursday night, it felt hopeless to not have to be in the play-in to make the playoffs. And then yesterday, with all the motivation in Dallas's favor, what a gutless performance by them.
Oh, man.
I mean, all capitals,
Oh,
Gutless. They packed one in.
Sure
and
did.
You know, we start our picks tomorrow and on every round. And the play-in is really where we have separated ourselves. The winner the last couple of years, we've had a couple of different winners. You won it last year. The play-in games is where you really win.
Yeah.
How can you pick Dallas tomorrow night?
Well, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, because last night they did not look good at all, and I guess if AD plays
Dallas
tomorrow
goes Wednesday
night,
night. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but if AD's playing, Derek Lively, then maybe, but they just don't have many guards, and I think that's a issue against anybody. Yeah, I mean, it was a big nothing from them, and then I mean, one of the more fun games for the Grizzlies. I mean, you have those guys out there, and they're just going at it. Yuki throwing behind the back no look passes, and I mean, it was a fun
like
game.
his Globetrotters, wasn't
It really was, but it was fun yesterday.
48-34, eighth most wins in the 24 years in Memphis. 14 out of 24 winning seasons in Memphis. So 14 winning seasons, 10 losing seasons. Kind of all or nothing with the Grizzlies through the years.
Sure has been.
Have a winning season, go to the playoffs. 14. If they make the playoffs, it will be 14 out of 24. If they make the playoffs, win tomorrow night, they're the 7th seed.
That's right.
And I'm going to round up, that's about 60%. It's 58 something or another, 584 something another. Let's call it 60%. I think the day it was announced by the Pursuit team that the Grizzlies are headed to town, if you'd have told me after 24 years we make the playoffs 60% of that time,
Man.
I think I sign up for that.
100%.
But after they get here and you have, the first 50-win season, the first playoff appearance, and then you advance in the playoffs. You go to the Western Conference Finals in 2013. It's time to add a little more to the resume, isn't it?
Sure. I mean, that's with anybody, any team, any sport. I mean, once you start reaching different levels, you want more, and you dream of bigger
they
things.
dreamed of one.
Sure, exactly.
Now 5 more later, they have 6.
That's right. And so I mean, I know there's been a lot of talk about it at different places, and once you're if your team's kind of been bottom of the barrel, and they make the playoffs, now you want to make the playoffs the next year and keep being a playoff team. And so I think those expectations are I think they come with it. And so I think after you've done what you've done here in Memphis, it should. I think you do want to continue to be relevant and continue to be making long postseason runs. And it doesn't look like it's going to be happening this year, but I guess just regroup and try to get there next year.
Brian, this foreboding feeling for tomorrow night, golly, it's overwhelming for me. And a lot of times the best surprises in sports are the ones you never see coming. I mean, get an upset win tomorrow night. You plug in a 7, got the rest of until Saturday or Sunday to rest. We'll feel a lot better about things. But the Grizzlies have just squandered a great year. They were the 2 seed as late as February 27th.
Yeah, and I mean, I saw a graph that was kind of rolling through and showing, I mean, just the 2, maybe go down to 3, back up to 2, down to 3, back up to 2, and then just that nosedive at the very end of the season to go all the way down to 8. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. The Grizzlies, they split the series 3-1-3 Golden State in the series, but a couple of those games close. Obviously, the last time they played was incredible performance by Steph Curry. Hold him and maybe you win. I think even with that,
they're gonna make us
historic
pay for beating them by 50.
hopefully, maybe they've already made you pay. I don't know. But tomorrow night, it is going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. We'll talk more about the Grizzlies and this game tomorrow night. We'll do that at 5 o'clock with DeMichael Cole. But right now, we got to wrap up this hour and get to another break. And when we return, talking some college football and college basketball with David Cobb from CBS Sports.
Specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Winton Road.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Spring is here, and it's the perfect time to give your home a little love with Choate's $93 spring deals. Got a slow or smelly drain? We'll clear it for just $93, or it's free if we can't. Also, your home's electrical system is working 24/7 behind the walls, and an inspection from Choate's can help catch hidden dangers before they become big problems. We're talking about outdated or overloaded panels, loose wiring that can spark fires, improper grounding or GFCI protection, breaker issues, flickering lights, and more. Our licensed electricians will perform a full home safety check, identify risks, and give you a plan to keep your family safe and your power running strong. All for just $93. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com to book your appointment today. Choates Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical. Let our family serve your family.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Good afternoon. It's still a bit heavy over here at times. 240 East up by Mill Branch. THP still trying to clean up this wreck. It's going to be on 40 westbound near Chambers Chapel. At one point, it had it almost backed up to Fayette County there at the Fayette County-Shelby County line on 40 going westbound. As traffic starts to increase up through Midtown right now, especially I-40 over here at Chelsea. Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Go by and see them this week and shop local at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with Dave Woloshyn, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is National College Football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
David Cobb joins us now from CBS Sports, where he covers college football and college basketball. David, thanks so much for joining. We've talked a ton of college basketball with you for the last couple of months, but now I got to start off with a massive college football story. Nico, he is done with his time at Tennessee. It seems a story that developed all the way from really last Wednesday or Thursday and kind of crescendoed Saturday morning when it was announced that he would be entering the transfer portal, was no longer with the team. What do you make of this whole story with Tennessee starting quarterback?
Yeah, wow, crazy, isn't it? Hey guys, good to talk with y'all. I had a feeling we would be getting into this probably right off the top. It's the story not just in college sports, but it is the sports story right up there with Rory McIlroy completing the Grand Slam. It's that big. It's transcended the normal lanes of conversation around college football to the extent where I've got my phone blowing up from people who I haven't spoken to or in a while, and close friends and family who all have opinions or want my opinion. It's just one of those things that you're not used to college football generating this magnitude of headline in the month of April. And here we are, and it's around Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava. So long run, we don't know how this all plays out until the fall. I'm sorry, there's just no way to know. Tennessee fans feel pretty good about themselves right now, and they made a stand. And, I think there's something to be said for that without a doubt. Right now, it looks like Nico's maybe twisting in the wind a little bit, but hey, if he's able to get his dollar amount and go into a new system and play well in the fall, and Tennessee struggles at quarterback, then this isn't a foregone conclusion that Tennessee comes out of here looking like the winner. But they made a stand, and I think a lot of people are glad they did, because the dynamics here where players are holding out and just begging and pleading for every last dime. I mean, it's just the perfect illustration of where this thing has run amok. And everybody's all for the players getting paid, and I am too, but obviously at some point enough is enough, and it's time to play ball. And Nico pushed those boundaries, and he pushed them a little too far, and now all of a sudden he's out here looking for a new home.
And, David, we know usually it's around graduation time, around that second weekend in May. I'm going to use May 10th as the date. From that date until after July 4th, and the magazines hit, media days start to hit, the college football stories are never flattering. This one's a little earlier, but college football, it always kind of goes through really a lot, and then magically we all spring into action and look forward to it and get fired up about it. But this is a first. Bryant's time frame was right on the public recognition of this story, but there's no way this just all percolated last Wednesday. How long back do you think it goes? Do you think it goes back into the season? Do you think it goes back to maybe trying to hold him a little bit hostage around playoff time?
Yep.
And is he the only one in the Tennessee building that is wanting more?
Well, absolutely not. Everybody's always wanting more now. And what Tennessee did by cutting Nico off now, they didn't just save themselves $1.5 million or whatever the excess was that Nico wanted. It was roughly, he wanted to go from 2.3 to 3.5 or 2.5 to 4, depending on what numbers you're looking at. Yeah, okay, if they had acquiesced to Nico, sure, they would have had to pay him $1.5 million more. But how much more would they then have had to shell out for every other player on the roster who would have seen that and said, well, all right, I'm going to go and get mine? And it would have cost them another $5 million just to keep next year's team together if Nico had gotten his way.
And every other sport would have fallen in line. Men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball. Yes.
They all would have marched into Danny White's office or into their coach's office with their hand out, their palm open, saying, all right, well, where's mine? So Tennessee made a stand in that sense. And this I think it's gone in waves with Nico, right? Because these negotiations, to a certain extent, are always going on. You know what? There's one really high-profile basketball player who just announced his commitment to come back next season, who myself and a lot of other people were hearing, hey, he might go get in the transfer portal. Well, he never did, right? Well, now he looks like the rosy, loyal, man, he would never leave Old State University, right? Well, what were he and his camp saying 2 months ago, right? Like, he never got in the portal, so the optics are that, he's one of the good guys. Well, he was maybe behind the scenes he wasn't a good guy during the season. And it's the same deal here with Nico, where you've seen the reports today, obviously that he threatened to hold out of the playoff game. Right? I can't speak to the validity of that one in particular. I'm sure it's accurate, but then even within these last couple weeks, I know this: the Tennessee staff knew something like this might be coming. They knew it might be coming, and so they were starting to prop up Jake Merklinger behind the scenes, trying to get the word out, trying to go ahead and soften the blow on the fan base for if something fell apart with Nico. This did not catch them by surprise when Pete Nakos put out that tweet. I'll say that. That's confirmed. The public may just be hearing about this over the last 3-4 days, but it's been going on behind the scenes in Knoxville for quite a while. And what we saw Thursday, Friday, Saturday was just the manifestation of what's been a brewing situation there.
If he had indeed been like many were saying that he was going to be the next Peyton Manning, if he was really of that ability, would they have let him go that easily?
No. No. If he deserved what he was asking for, they would have paid him. If he had been good enough on the field, they would have paid him in November and December, and we would have never gotten here. But he didn't get the memo the first time around that, like, hey, my value is not what maybe I think it is, or maybe what my daddy thinks it is, right? And so now all of a sudden, you want to do it now in the spring when we already told you in December. I'm sorry, you're making $2.5 million already. That should be plenty good enough for a player of your caliber. I mean, he was a game manager last season. He was not Peyton Manning. He was not Hendon Hooker. He was barely Joe Milton. And now he's coming out there with his palm out, wanting to get paid like one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the sport. You know what? If you go out and have a baller 2025 season, throw for 35 touchdowns, run for 10 more, then by all means, you're going to be making $5 million next season. But just like any of us in any profession, the results have to warrant the pay raise, and it's no different in college football.
Was he Jonathan Crompton?
I mean, maybe Lane Kiffin's version of Jonathan Crompton. Kiffin was able to get the best out of Jonathan Crompton, but he was more like the version of Jonathan Crompton that Philip Fulmer had. So
Lane can win with a nose guard at quarterback.
I mean, if anybody ever questions Lane Kiffin's quarterback credentials, and I know you won't, Stats, because you've seen it up close and in person, but go look at what he did with Jonathan Crompton. If you want to go back down memory lane a little bit, because that guy was bad in 2008. Then he got under Kiffin in 2009, and he became really good. So
what he did with Blake Sims at Bama.
Yeah, the long list there for sure. And so you look at Josh Heupel and his development record with quarterbacks, and it's pretty solid, especially what he did with Hendon Hooker. And Nico Iamaleava was a guy who a lot of people had penciled in as a Heisman Trophy contender going into last season, and he certainly was not that. He got him to the playoff, but really it was the defense. It was the running game with Dylan Sampson. It was a very different version of Tennessee than what we all expected going into last season. And so Nico, give him credit, he didn't turn the ball over. He kept it on the rails, but he sure didn't do much to really take credit for their success. I mean, their success was other factors. It was the defense more so than anything. And so, yeah, I mean, I think Tennessee was well founded here to stand its ground.
Mm-hmm. So what will the transfer portal look like for him? What schools do you think could get involved for him? I know over on 247 there was a crystal ball that pegged him to go to North Carolina. What do you think? Where do you think he'll land?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? You've seen some teams sort of signal that actually, you know what, we're not in. Mm-hmm. We're not in on the Nico sweepstakes because there were seemingly 5, 6, 7 potential destinations before Tennessee cut ties, but now all of a sudden he's out there and he's available, and there's some teams that are signaling, no, we're not interested. Why are they doing that? Because they have quarterbacks on their roster who they want to keep. They have quarterbacks on their roster, and they don't want those guys to think that they're going after Nico, because if they're thinking, oh, well, my coach is going after Nico, well, what are they going to do? They're going to go get in the transfer portal because if Nico's coming, then I got to go find a new place. So you've seen Texas Tech, USC sort of signal, I don't think we're interested. North Carolina would make a lot of sense. I mean, they don't really have a clear-cut starter. Max Johnson's still in that program. He's coming off an injury. Nico would probably be an upgrade there. How much money do they have to throw around? That's probably the big question. That's an ACC program that is paying a lot of money for Bill Belichick. And a team that's going to be a program that's going to be putting a lot of money into a basketball roster. So, do they have $3-4 million to give Nico a pay raise? Because that's what he wants, right? He wants a pay raise. He wants more than he was getting at Tennessee. If you're looking at North Carolina and UCLA, though, as the teams to provide that, you might be lucky just to make what you were making at Tennessee. And, oh, by the way, you're going to be doing it on a team that's not a college football playoff contender. I'm sorry, but UCLA is going to be struggling to make a bowl game. North Carolina going to be struggling to make a bowl game. If it's all about the money, then maybe you can make what you were making or a little more. But, man, it's going to be tough. He's boxed himself into a corner here, and he doesn't have much leverage anymore because people are looking around and they see, all right, Tennessee was kind of fed up with them. He doesn't have a school to go back to right now. What's the real legitimate market value for him? If there's only a couple of bidders, he's going to be hard pressed to get what he was hoping for.
Our guest is David Cobb from CBS Sports. He joins us every Monday, and he's on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line talking college football and college basketball. We will get to basketball. I have one more hit from college football. There's a couple of things around Nico and his family that kind of humor me. He's got a little brother at Arkansas, and they said one of the bigger reasons he went to Arkansas is that where they could be closer in the SEC instead of him staying at home and playing at SC or UCLA. Does Nico parents have a house in Jackson, Tennessee to split the difference between Fayetteville and Knoxville?
Not exactly close, are they?
It's a different time zone. They're not close.
I know that's comical. In a way, like you feel bad maybe to a certain extent for Nico. Look, not knowing every detail of the situation, I'm sure he's not blameless. But all the behind the scenes chatter, right, is that we've got a helicopter parent situation here.
This is Monty Bates' dad.
Very similar. I think that's a great comparison. This is a player whose father has meddled, maybe to an unhealthy degree, in his son's career, and we unfortunately see this all the time in college sports and even in professional sports. I think y'all know who I might be talking about in the city of Memphis, right? So it's unfortunate when that happens, and you kind of gotta let the young man chart his own path. And now, he's the guy who's going to have to go and make new relationships. Dad's not the one who's got to go learn a new playbook. Mm-hmm. Dad's not the one who has to go and develop chemistry with a new set of receivers. Dad's not the one who's got to leave campus after 2.5 years in Knoxville to go and learn a new coaching staff. Dad's just sitting there counting the money, right, with seemingly little regard for how it impacts his son. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, no, very unfortunate. And we'll see how it plays out over the next couple of weeks and see where he ultimately lands. Last week when we talked with you, we were previewing the national championship basketball game. What a game. That game from start to finish was so much fun to watch. Ultimately, it was Florida who cut down the nets. What did you make of the way they played, that comeback they needed, and them winning another national championship?
Yeah, so big for the SEC. First off, to actually back it up, after the season they had, everybody was lying in wait with their takes about how the SEC was overrated and just waiting for that NCAA tournament moment when maybe the league underperformed. They thought they had it on Thursday of the first round, but then lo and behold, you get 7 in the Sweet 16, you got 2 in the Final Four, and you got the national champion. So a big victory lap there for the SEC to take, no doubt. And then for Florida, just an incredible run. And really showing in the national title game, too, that it wasn't just Walter Clayton. Walter Clayton made some shots down the stretch, but they didn't win that game solely because of Walter Clayton. It was a team effort, and their defense was huge down the stretch. So you can't take anything away from Florida. The advanced metrics say they weren't the best team in college basketball this season, but they were the best team at the Final Four and one of the best national champions that we've seen in this century because the top of college basketball was so good this season. We saw that at the Final Four, and maybe the metrics still like Duke better or still like Houston better, but when it mattered the most, Florida's the team that got it done on the floor. And so a deserving national champion. Those players, without a top 100 prospect on the roster, able to get it done and cut down the nets, that's pretty incredible.
David, what was your Final Four moment last weekend in San Antonio covering those games? You've worked hard. You wanted to be in that arena, quite literally.
Yep.
You made it. What was the moment of, man, I'm at the Final Four?
Just totally slack-jawed at the way the end of that Duke-Houston game went. Just couldn't believe it. Just totally in awe of the fact that I was there to see that. And next to the Houston's fans, no less, to see the outpouring of emotion from them, just amazing. It was one of the greatest Final Fours of my lifetime, and I was there courtside for it. And so it's good to be reminded of those things from time to time. Like, wow, here I am covering the Final Four, right? And just what a special opportunity that is, especially for an outlet like CBS. Like, you've just got to be grateful to be there, to be a part of it, to be a part of their coverage. I'm just a role player on that team, but every good team needs its role players, and I try to play my role to the best of my ability. And it was an absolute blast. It's such a cool experience, and San Antonio is a great host city for it as well. So just super grateful to have been there.
That is really great perspective, David. The SEC, look, it's a lot of bluster. Look, when you strut around like the SEC does and has, and with money and facilities, and it just means more, you're a pretty big target. I've said consistently through the years, the biggest, fairest knock on the SEC is this: it's not perfect. It doesn't bat 1,000. Nobody can. You even had one squarehead last weekend say the SEC lost 13 times in the tournament. Well, yeah, if they had lost the finals, they would have lost 14 times if they had lost in the finals. But it gets that. With that in mind, and Florida with their two in the early part of the 21st century, Kentucky in 2012, and now Florida again this year, who should be next in the SEC to win it all in basketball?
Well, it sure feels like Auburn's knocking on the door. They've been so close now with 2 Final Four appearances under Bruce Pearl and several more high-quality teams that were in the mix. They feel like the natural answer to that. It's hard for me to say it's Tennessee because Tennessee's never been to a Final Four. But the roster that Mark Pope is assembling right now at Kentucky for next season kind of makes me think it could be the Wildcats. I mean, they're going to put a lot into basketball. And we saw how far they got with a hastily
It's a birthright.
roster.
14 years next spring between titles.
Been a long time. They're not used to going well over a decade without a national title. So they're the team that I think you got to look to. I mean, it's Kentucky, so it's not shocking to suggest that they're the ones.
I guess they went 14 between Tubby and Cal from 98 to 2012.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I guess you're right. Yeah, almost exactly right. So, could next year be the year for Kentucky? I wouldn't rule it out. Mark Pope is out there doing a lot in the portal. He's going to get Otega Oweh back. That's massive. He was so good. The pieces they're putting around him so far look to be really solid. So, Kentucky to me is probably that next team. Of course, they've done it before, but if you're looking for a team that hasn't, I mean, Auburn has been so close. Bruce Pearl is in the twilight of his career, but still operating at a very high level. And then Alabama, too. I mean, it's Auburn or Alabama if you're looking for a team that's never won it before. I mean, those are the two that clearly come to mind.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the SEC, we didn't get your thoughts last week on Texas A&M hiring Bucky McMillan. I know you wrote a story about Samford, went down there and did a story about Bucky Ball and what he was doing at Samford. What do you make of this fit, Bucky McMillan and Texas A&M?
Well, it's interesting to go from a SoCon job to a well-resourced SEC job. Lamont Paris went from Chattanooga to South Carolina pretty recently, but South Carolina is kind of a lower-tier SEC job. That one made a little bit more sense. This one's quite a big jump. You go from thinking you're going to get Chris Beard, who is a proven coach who's been to a national title game, who's been at 3 different high major schools over the last decade. You go from thinking you're going to get that guy to going and getting a guy that most of your fans probably had to Google. Most Texas A&M fans probably didn't know who Bucky McMillan was. Now that I think it could work, but it's kind of a low risk hire on both ends. And here's what I mean by that. Texas A&M, they get a couple years into Bucky Ball, they decide it's not working. I'm assuming his buyout's going to be on the lower end of any coach in the SEC. All right, you cut bait, no problem. We'll go and get our big name guy the next time. And then if you're Bucky, you get a couple of years in. It's not your style doesn't translate to the SEC. You get fired. One, you get a great buyout relative to anything you would have had before, like at Stanford. And then two, you're going to get right back to the level you were at. I mean, there will be teams at the lower mid-major level rolling out the red carpet to hire Bucky McMillan, even if it doesn't work out at Texas A&M. So in that sense, I think it's low risk on both sides, but it could be high reward because this is a guy that's won everywhere he's been. Now you give him some resources. I mean, hey, you give him the opportunity to compete with a really high dollar roster at A&M. You know, I don't think it's going to work in year one, or at least I'd be surprised because he got a late start. A&M wasn't going to have anybody coming back anyway, so he's got to put the whole thing together from scratch. And you know, Mark Byington is the only recent example who I can think of that's kind of done it at that level in the SEC at that caliber of job in 1 year. So it's not impossible, but year one might not go well. But at the end of the day, like it's a low risk situation for both parties. And then the payoff could be great if it works out.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see what he can put together. I know he's got a couple of commits already, including Ja'Carri Lane, who I really liked at Northern Alabama. Don't know if he can make that jump to the SEC, but we'll see. David, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Okay, guys, I appreciate it.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David. David Cobb with us from CBS Sports. You saw him at Northern Alabama this year. Brian, I think scoring is scoring. I also know defending is defending. Yep. Do you think it will translate that he can play in the SEC?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's a small guy. He is barely 6 foot, if that.
Really?
So he's a tiny guy. Really worked at the mid-major level, low major level down at North Alabama. I hope it works out for him. I hope he's a good player. He's a guy that was on his visit at Texas A&M, and according to all reports, was supposed to come to Memphis and visit immediately after that before he obviously committed at the end of that visit with Texas A&M. So I hope it works for him, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Everybody wants a good deal on a car, and if you want to know where all the Chevys are, they're right there in Olive Branch. That's where the deals are, at Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet, first exit. If you cross into Mississippi on Highway 78, take Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there. And that's where you can save thousands on your new Silverado truck. Financing as low as 2.9 for 72 months. A new 2500 HD with financing as low as 3.9 and no payments for 90 days. That's into the fall almost. Nothing beats having no payments most of the summer. Your good credit deserves it, and you'll get it at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch with Drew DePriest and his great team there. If you're law enforcement, recent grad, first responder, healthcare worker, educator, military, an extra $500 bonus back instantly. All-Star with all the late model pre-owns that you could be looking for. Camaros, Equinox, Tahoe, Suburbans, and a ton of Silverados. If you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star, whether you bought it there or not, and you'll get the most money back on your deal. Everyone at All-Star and Olive Branch, they want me to wish you and your family a happy Easter season, happy Easter month. Together, let's drive. Let's head to allstarautogroup.com for more information.
Let's get to another break. When we return, the NBA playoffs are all set. It'll start with the play-ins tomorrow night. Tomorrow and Wednesday will be those first games of the play-ins, and then we'll have the actual playoffs. We'll talk about how the seeding played out the final day of the regular season, what this playoff looks like. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join us celebrating 26 years of Napa Cafe. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations, fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer, like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes, like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad, or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. I'd sure love to see you.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders Memphis. In the wake of the large storm systems that passed through the Mid-South, our 8 shingle crew, 3 TPO commercial flat roof crews, and even 2 metal and tile crews are all out assisting policyholders. We won't stop until all have been restored to pre-storm condition. Many homes throughout the Mid-South were hit by hail, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and yes, even 2-inch hail fell in the Mid-South. Many times hail damage will go unnoticed. Many people think it's no big deal. However, shingles and yes, even metal roofs are compromised. In time, show signs of leaks and on metal leaks, rust due to breaking the coating, which in turn ends up leaking. If you had hail and high winds, look up, or better yet, have us come look for you. Water left on the tube will turn into health issues in the home or business. Our staff will perform inspections free. That's right, free inspections of all the roof, attic, and interior to ensure that no shingle panel or insulation go unturned. Call Metro Builders now. Call us. 375-1717. That's 375-1717. Or check us out online at metrobuildersmemphis.com. Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, or personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in-bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Afternoon. It's moving a little bit better coming in from Fayette County now. We had that earlier crash out there on 40 westbound at Chambers Chapel. Seemed like it took forever to clean up that wreck. It left a pretty good backup, but again, it should start to move a little bit better as 240 builds eastbound over here at Mill Branch as you head on out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season. Go see them this week at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back in Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure studios. And we've got the playoff bracket set. Starting off in the West, we've got the 2 play-in games. 8 Memphis against 7 Golden State. The winner will get the 2 seed in the playoffs. The loser will have to play the winner of the 10-9, that is Dallas versus Sacramento. The winner of that gets number 1 OKC. Outside of that, 6 Minnesota, they will take on 3 Lakers, and then the 5 seed Clippers will take on the 4 seed Denver. Over in the East, in the play-in, you've got Atlanta and Orlando in the 7-8. The winner will get the 2 seed Boston. The loser will play the winner of the 10-9 game between Miami, who is the 10, Chicago, who is the 9. The winner of that game will get the number 1 seed Cleveland Cavaliers. Outside of that, 6 seed Detroit against 3 seed Knicks, 5 seed Milwaukee against 4 seed Indiana. What series jumps out to you, Brett, when you saw everything finalized last night?
Jumps to me, two in the West. I'm always going to go West. 3 and 6, Minnesota and the Lakers. The Lakers kind of back to their roots, playing in Minneapolis in that one. And then the 4-5, Clippers can beat Denver.
Yeah, no, I definitely think they can. With everything that is going on in Denver, with no head coach, and just the way they've played over the last
and the
couple
possibility
weeks.
Of this Grizzlies win tomorrow night. It would be a shocking upset.
Sure.
It would turn all these frowns upside down, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
It would be the kind of re-engaging of the season of all time. Definitely. For a lot of us that have kind of checked out, tossed the towel. Yeah. They're not going anywhere. That would be some win. And if Golden State lost that and then lost on Friday night, no playoffs for Golden State. That's a wild set of circumstances.
That is a wild set of circumstances, but it could happen. When you're in the play-in, who knows what happens? It's
because
unlikely,
we know
but it could happen.
Once we get in these best of 7, it's going to make the NCAA tournament look like it was upset field.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be chalky chalk.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of something to to keep in mind with especially the Western Conference. I mentioned it earlier. Only a 2-game difference between the 8-seeded Memphis and the 3-seeded Lakers, so how tight that was, really, who knows what happens in some of these first-round matchups, because, like you mentioned, Clippers could beat Denver. I think, easily could beat Denver. At the same time, Denver could go out there. I mean, they have the best player in basketball right now, and they could win that series. You look at Minnesota and the Lakers. I feel pretty good about the Lakers, but you never know. Maybe Minnesota gets a little hot and wins that. So, I think the Western Conference, these first-round games are going to be a whole lot of fun. And, I think we could see a couple long series that go into – because, this game tomorrow night, Memphis and Golden State. Golden State wins, I could see them having a good series against Houston. If Memphis wins, we've seen it play out.
A lot of championship DNA in Golden State.
You're exactly right about that. And we've seen those matchups between Memphis and Houston this year where a lot of them, the 4 times you played them, 3 of them came down to the last possession. So, I could definitely see that one being a fun matchup. It really feels like the West has some really good matchups in the first round.
We knew last Thursday night was really big, and that was in effect going for the 6th seed.
Yep.
Minnesota got the win at FedEx Forum really easily, and just disastrous fourth quarter, and they got the win. And they ended up getting the 6th seed. Memphis down there at 8th, 48 wins. That's a lot of wins.
Yeah.
We know, and we need to remember this next year when we're going over in the preseason and early part of the season. How many wins will it take? You better get to 50 and then let the chips fall wherever they may.
Yeah, I don't think preseason when we were going over your 48 and however many wins I had, I don't think we were saying 48 wins that gets you all the way down in the 8th seed. I think
I had it as the 6.
Yeah, I think you were definitely thinking you have a solid spot in the playoffs, not having to play in the play-ins, but here we are, 48 wins, and it kind of goes back to how competitive the Western Conference always is, but certainly this year. And so tomorrow night's gonna be tough for the Grizzlies, but that's really all I got. Tomorrow night's gonna be really tough for the Grizzlies.
Feels hopeless.
It does. But I'll tell you, I had a friend who texted all of us this morning. He said we are not gonna be negative about the Grizzlies game tomorrow night until it actually starts, and then we can be negative about it. But up until then, we're going to be positive.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah,
I'll try.
Trying is.
I think tomorrow night with the late start time. Now, would that really be 9 o'clock or would that really be 9:10?
Definitely at least 9-10. Could be a little later.
That's what I was afraid of.
Tell me how that first game ends up, because playing, you're not missing any part of the action because the first game's going long, and we just can't get to the second one when it starts. If that first game's going long, if we get overtime, boy howdy, we're pushing that game to 9:20.
I think I'm going to impose whenever the Grizzlies get down by 12, whenever the first time that is, it's lights out for me.
That's probably
if
smart.
it's first quarter, then I'll wake up in the night and find out good or bad on the Twitter machine.
Yeah. Hey, I don't think that's a bad idea, because it is going to be a late night for a lot of people watching and seeing what the Grizzlies can do.
The one in the West is the story of the West this year. It's what Oklahoma City, what they were building to, where they are. Number 2 is a pretty good story with Houston.
It's a really good story. And, the way that they were able to build this roster, through the draft, through youth, but then also going out there and bringing in veterans that have really,
getting that coach was lucky.
Getting that coach
They never
huge.
get him unless he
absolutely not.
blows himself out of Boston
he
he
shoots
did.
himself in the foot and is out of a job. And, hey, Houston's sitting over there going, hey, we need a coach. We'd love to have you. And
in their lap.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have been more perfect. But what he has brought as a coach, and then what Fred VanVleet has brought as kind of the leader of that team. You saw that little span where he was out. That team really struggled, but with him in there, they have really found a lot of success. They've got so many young stars. When you look at Jalen Green and the Thompson and just some of those young guys that they have down there in Houston, it feels like this is the first year, but let those guys get a little older and have that a little bit of playoff, taste of the playoffs, and it feels like this Rockets team could be around.
We'll do our prediction series by series, but I think it's pretty safe that Oklahoma City is going to be in the finals.
I think that's
of the West.
Yeah, I think that's certainly in the finals of the West. Yeah,
finals of the West.
Yeah,
I can't tell you against what team.
No, I mean it could. And again, going back to it, it was so tight in there. It was teams going up and down all year. That I could see. Sure, I could see. I don't really know if I see Houston making it all the way there as the 2 seed. It just feels like too many tough series that they're going to have to get through to get there. But there's a handful of teams I could see in the Western Conference Finals. On the other side, it feels a little more copy-paste of the top 2 seeds being the 2 teams that meet in the Eastern Conference Finals. So far it has been really tough for anybody to prove they're better than either Cleveland or Boston.
Yeah, and Indiana could sneak in there.
They could. They absolutely could. And, they're a team that, I want to like them, but every time I watch them play, I don't know. I just don't like them. It's weird. I love their players. Some of those guys on that team, I love watching, but I just can't get behind this Pacers team.
The fun series could very well be New York and Detroit. Young and precocious Detroit. The news today of buttonholes are out in Phoenix. Did it surprise you?
No. I think they've been trying to tell you he's gone since 3/4 of the season was over.
Did he have any case to stand on when you have those stars and you don't even make the play-in?
Probably not. No.
That almost should be written in the contract.
Yeah, when you have KD on your team and you've got Booker, and you got Beal, but at the same time, it kind of stops there. And
we know the Suns owner, he thinks he's the world's smartest man.
Of course he does.
Made a lot of money real fast. His dad and his dad's friends kind of set him up in business, and he hit the .com wave.
That's right.
He hit it big. I think his was actually mortgage banking. Same difference. And did you know he played on Tom Izzo's national championship team?
I think I've heard it a time or two.
He's the world's smartest man. I bet you he thinks he really should be the coach.
Oh, I believe it. Well, hey, now's his time.
I don't think you can. I don't think they'll let you.
Yeah, I don't think so. But no, I think
Ted Turner did for one day. He was manager of the Braves for one day. And I want to say his uniform number, his old TV VHF was like 47-33. And I think that was his uniform number.
Really?
And he managed one day, and Bowie Kuhn, the commissioner of baseball, You get out of that uniform and you get out of that dugout tomorrow.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You're not managing another game.
That's
fine. No, I don't think they'll let you.
No.
All seriousness about the Michigan State connection. Would he ever hire Tom Izzo?
I don't think Izzo would go for it. I just don't see it. It'd be less of a culture shock now with NIL and everything, but that'd just be
his age.
I just can't see it. Yeah. I think there's a lot that goes into it.
But he adores him.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I think you probably go to him and say, hey, would you
for consultation
any interest? And then certainly when he says no, then certainly ask him for what he thinks the direction they should go. But no, I mean, I don't know who else is on the chopping block in the NBA, but crazy that we've already got a couple coaches.
Any of these play-in games, coaches? Billy Donovan just went in the Hall of Fame, but it was really for Florida.
I don't think so. I really don't. I think all these coaches are safe. I mean, heck, a couple of them, Memphis and Sacramento. I mean, they're really still looking for a coach. But I think everyone else is pretty much safe.
Jason Kidd?
I think Jason Kidd's safe. I mean, I think he can fall back on,
I'm with you.
No Kyrie, your superstar gets traded.
Blame it all on
the
Nico.
deadline. Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a good defense case to shield him.
In New Orleans, fired David Griffin in the front office. I was shocked it wasn't full house cleaning.
Yeah, me too.
Coach, staff, everything.
Me too. And so with it not being the full cleaning of the house today, maybe that means
might be later after they hire the new guy.
Certainly could be. So that will definitely be one to watch. But I just don't see a lot of changes. Certainly not with any of these play-in teams. I mean, it could happen.
Well, we don't have the Monday like the NFL.
No.
That the hammer drops. We had the last 3 weeks of hammer dropping.
Exactly. And that's kind of the thing is, I look up and down the NBA and certainly, playoff teams. But, now you kind of look at it. It feels like no coach is safe. Just like at trade deadline, a lot of the players were saying, well, none of us are safe. Anybody can be traded. It feels now like any coach is kind of on the hot seat a little bit, because of what has happened over the last couple of weeks with the Grizzlies and Denver. And that's another question with Denver being the 4 seed. How do they look with an interim in there after their head guy got fired a week ago? We'll see. It'll all get started tomorrow night with the 2 play-in games. We'll start at 6:30, Atlanta and Orlando on TNT. And then we know the second game, Memphis at Golden State. That is scheduled for a 9 o'clock tip on TNT. Well, let's get to another break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
It's time for the Ultimate Hot Wing Showdown at the World Championship Hot Wing Contest and Festival, Saturday, April 26th at the Memphis River Garden Park on Riverside Drive. See over 60 teams fighting for hot wing supremacy, along with live blues, soul, and rock and roll, all in support of the Ronald McDonald House. It's a sizzling day of fiery flavors, live music, and family fun, and you're invited. Get your tickets now at worldwingfest.com, sponsored by RS Financial Group, Bank 3, ATC Fitness, and Universal Access. This is your delicious chance to make a difference.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 12,000 miles per year, $49.99 to its must finance through KFA, K4, SEO 873.49, MSRP 25,320, Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30,660, Telluride SG 596,204, MSRP 41,060, includes all rebates and incentives, fee of $895, excludes tax title and license with approved credit, dealer stock only, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 5/2/25.
Hey, I got my buddy on the line. Hey, Jeff Allen, it's always awesome to see what's going on over there in Gossett, Kia, South Mount Moriah. What you got up your sleeve?
I'm making magic, Randy. I've got a new ride under $6 a day. 2025 Kia K4 LXS 159 a month. 2025 Kia Sportage EX 269 per month. And get more power, larger cargo area than a Nissan Pathfinder in a 2025 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive, $398 a month. All $49.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
We're online at KiaMountMoriah.com.
Welcome to Fat Larry's in Bartlett. Come in today for award-winning barbecue and so much more. Catfish, steak burgers, chicken, certified prime Angus beef steaks, along with all the sides, homemade rolls, delicious desserts, beer, and service that is out of this world. Fat Larry's cooks everything made to order just for you. Dine in or order online at fatlarrys.com. For the best barbecue, Southern cooking, and friendly atmosphere in town. Family owned and proud of it. Fat Larry's, conveniently located at 7537 Highway 70, just west of Appling.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
All right, Brett, my big number today is the number 9. It has to do with the San Diego Padres. In their first 9 home games to start the season, the Padres have thrown 5 shutouts while allowing fewer than a dozen total runs. The only other MLB team to do that over its first 9 home games of a season was the St. Louis Brown Stockings in 1876, the very first year of Major League Baseball.
I got nothing.
Yeah, don't ask me anything about the Brown Stockings.
I got Cubs at Padres tonight, 1984 NLCS.
There you go.
Rematch.
There you go. That'll be fun. But nothing on the Brown Stockings.
Got nothing on the Brown Stockings. My big number is 81. Talked about the caddy bib numbers last week. If Bryson DeChambeau had won, that'd have been 89 again. That would have been the 4th time.
Holy cow.
Jack Nicklaus, Sergio Garcia, and Danny Willett, but he didn't. Or Roy McIlroy, rather, his caddy, O'Harry, he was in caddy bib number 81. First-time winner wearing 81.
Wow. How about that? So it was
first time.
A really big day.
Next year, he's going to be wearing bib number 1.
That's right. You're right about that.
For the defending champion.
That's true. So
and they issue those how you register. Mm-hmm. So it shows, somebody, 4, 5, 6, but they're spitting fire to get there.
Oh, man. Yeah.
they can't wait to get there. Rory just kind of rolled in later in the week, didn't he?
Yeah, he sure did. But, I guess when you're Rory, you can do that. A lot of those younger guys, I'm sure, are trying to get there early, experiencing it all. Rory, he's been there, done that. And kind of the thing about it is we talked about that relief that you saw from him after winning it. I'm sure part of him wanted to kind of delay the getting there as much as he could so he wouldn't have to answer questions, so he wouldn't have to hear all of that talk about can he finally win the Masters. But, hey, whatever he did, however long it took to get there, it worked out for him this weekend.
It delivered CBS the most watched final round of the Masters since 2018.
Wow.
Up 33% from last year. coverage peaked at around 20 million, 19.543 million viewers from 6 to 6:15, and that was everything.
That was the time to watch. But no, I mean, you knew it was going to be a good day, especially how it was playing out, and then just the way it ended. It felt like, this is going to be a day that CBS is really proud of the numbers they get from it.
Average 12.7.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's up there with.
You'll take that every day.
Yeah, you sure will. And now the CBS golf coverage over the year won't quite be that. They'll have. Do they have the PGA still? And then NBC has U.S. and British Open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's one down and three
they're
more
not,
to go.
They're not going to get that for Hilton Head this weekend, but
no, certainly not. But
they're not charging the same rates for that.
Hey, but we'll be watching and we'll be keeping up with our golf picks. So we'll be
with first place Landon.
Yeah, that means he's
way out there in front.
The last
double
pick
hit
this
week.
Yeah,
to catch him, you better win the PGA.
Yeah, no, it's you got to win those big events if you want to win golf picks. So he's already got that down. But hey, you get first pick this week, so it's all eyes on you.
Right back in my first pick status, isn't it?
Hey,
Landon's going to pick last for a long time the rest of the year.
I kind of think, maybe it's better to just lose that first week, and then, you get the early picks, and then you
like Rory's double bogey on one
Exactly.
yesterday.
You start off slow, but you almost purposefully get behind so that then you can really storm back with all of those.
No, I really didn't do it on
first
purpose.
Picks.
No. I really did.
I did it on purpose.
You
How
did.
about that? I'll take.
Good thing John really didn't like Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah,
Scotty
really.
Scheffler was one of the quietest, fourth places.
Yeah, super
ever.
quiet. Super quiet. I mean, it
Fourth
felt like,
place, and he's disappointed. Everybody thinks he played bad.
Well, that's the thing is, we were kind of talking about it, Thursday, Friday. Ooh, this is exactly where he wants to be, and then kind of just forgot about him on Sunday, and just is right there, fourth place. Just a terrible.
Not a lot of
weekend for
magic.
him. No, but hey, I'll take a top 5 finish at the Masters any way it comes.
Now I'm predicting mystery meat for Rory's champion.
It could be something. It could really be something. I was thinking back yesterday when everything was playing out and Rory had won, how last week on Wednesday, Landon really played it up on, before the show, throughout the show, all the way up until golf picks of, I really like this Ludwig guy. I think I'm going to take him. And I was sitting there going, oh, man, that means I'm going to be left with Rory. I really don't want to take Rory. And then he goes out there, flips the script, takes Rory. I get my guy that I'm super excited about. And then he wins. So I really wish you had gone with Ludwig, did what you said you were going to do, because that I would have been the winner.
We're going to catch up with our buddy David Cohn later in the week from it does a great show with Jake Crane. They're at the White House today at the Ohio State ceremony.
I saw him post that earlier today. Yeah, I mean, getting good seats to see OH get recognized at the White House.
For a proud Michigan man.
Yeah, I think something about his post said, the great thing is we're at the White House. The terrible thing is we're having to watch Ohio State being honored as the national champions, and something about roses have thorns, which I thought was hilarious. But
yes, they do.
I think he can push through that to be at the White House.
Ohio State being celebrated today.
OH, got to feel good.
Oh,
yeah. Good time to be Ohio State, I guess.
And I see the vice president mangled the national championship trophy.
Yeah, I haven't seen the video. I've seen tweets about it, but
the bottom fell out.
Oh, jeez. Little butterfingers, or just a little bit of.
Sometimes the lid on the PGA Championship trophy and the U.S. Open trophy, there's a little latch on it to kind of to lock it. And it has happened before. It is
really.
We've had awkward.
Holy cow! Yeah, you don't want to do that. I mean, you start fumbling around with it. The pieces come apart.
Don't break anything.
No. You got to be very careful with those.
Right, there was a great Memphis golf shop back in the day, Burt Dargy's, and I was in there one day, and this was when you had real woods for drivers, and there was one he had worked on. It was great looking. He had shined it up, persimmon wood. And I go, boy, this looks great. And I grab it. He goes, no, please don't touch it. Let the customer put the first scratch on it.
Smart. Yeah. Let them do all of that.
Bert was a big Alabama football fan, and Coach Bryant had, through the years as gifts, had given him a lot of the hats like Coach Bryant would wear, whether it was, houndstooth or other, just fedoras. And I would go in there and walk around in the shop with those hats on.
Oh, that's great.
He would let me wear them
awesome.
in the shop.
That's great. Just walking around.
And at Christmas time, you go in Bert Dargie's from about the 5th of December through New Year's Eve, he'd have a keg on tap in the shop.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Yeah. Different time there, but definitely sounds like a lot of fun. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up this second hour, get to another break, and when we return, we're going to talk a whole lot of Memphis Grizzlies. They're getting ready to take on the Golden State Warriors tomorrow night at the Chase Center. If they win, they get into the playoffs. They'll be the 7 seed playing the 2 seed Houston. If they lose, well, they'll have to play another play-in game to try to get the 8. We'll talk all of this next with DeMichael Cole.
It is too.
I am not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that April is just one of the great months to sit outside at Central Barbecue.
I didn't say there weren't other great months to sit outside at Central Barbecue locations.
And there are a lot of them, and they all have outdoor seating.
I don't think you had to interrupt me for that. What I'm saying is April is particularly great because it's the first month where we can sit outside in Memphis.
In South Haven?
Stop interrupting me. I was going to say South Haven.
No, you weren't. You always forget about South Haven.
I resent that.
Hey, I produce these. You want me to back the tape up?
No. It's still the best month to sit outside at Central Barbecue.
Hey, everybody, want to know where all the Chevys are? Where all the deals are? Right here in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. Save thousands on your new Silverado truck. Financing as low as 2.9 for 72 months. A new 2500 HD has financing as low as 3.9 and no payments for 90 days. Nothing beats having no payments most of the summer. Absolutely nothing. You could take an extra vacation, and your good credit deserves it. If you're law enforcement, first responder, healthcare, military, education, recent grad, you get an extra $500 bonus. And All-Star has all the late model pre-owns you're looking for. Camaro, Equinox, Tahoe, Suburban, and tons of Silverados. And if you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it here to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch and get the most money for it today. Everyone here at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch asked me to wish you and your family a very happy Easter month. So together, let's drive, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
The NBA playoffs are here, and they're huge, and it's time for the all-high-stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw-dropping plays. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The code is HERD, H-E-R-D. New customers will get $200 in bonus bets, betting just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the little red tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make sure market on demand ensures. No Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list. From hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's starting to build even more over here on 240 East at Mill Branch as that traffic makes its way past Airways all the way out to Bill Morris Parkway. 385 still moving right now, headed on out towards Collierville. Cranking up again over here on 40 East, especially trying to get past Sycamore View Road. All that traffic flowing back out towards Fayette County. Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters this coming bridal season. Bridal season is just around the corner, so go see them this week at Weimer's Jewelry out there on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Once again,
Say you stand by your man.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now to talk some Grizzlies, the Grizzly beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal, DeMichael Cole, joins us now. DeMichael, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get into. We know now that the Grizzlies are the 8th seed. They will play the Warriors tomorrow night in the play-in, an opportunity to get the 7th seed and play the Rockets. What have you made of what you've seen over the last week from this Grizzlies team? It felt like that game last Thursday against Minnesota, almost kind of a playoff-like game. You win that. You know, we see now what Minnesota has done since winning that game. They're now the 6th seed out of the play-in. It felt like that game was really big. They lose that one. It felt like Friday night against Denver was big to maybe try to position yourself in the 7th seed. They lose that one. They win yesterday when everyone was sitting out. What have you made of these last 3 games?
It's pretty much from a results standpoint, you know, it's been similar to what, you know, we saw before the stretch, which was they were unable to beat the top teams and they took care of business, you know, against the lesser opponents, so to speak, or whatever the case may be. But, I mean, both games in similar fashion. You know, the Grizzlies had opportunities to win. They had a lot of opportunities to beat the Timberwolves. And even in the Nuggets game, they led most of that game before, you know, the Nuggets pretty much just dominated the last 3-4 minutes of it. So, you know, it's kind of a mixed bag because, you know, it's easy to say, wow, you know, we've been hanging around, you know, we're in these games, but we're not winning them. And, you know, at some point you got to get over the hump.
A team that was the 2 seed on February 27th, now the 8th seed and in the play-in on the road. What did changing coaches really do, DeMichael?
It just changed some things philosophy-wise, right? You're seeing, you know, Zach Edey be prioritized a little bit more. You're seeing Ja Morant be prioritized even more. So those are some of the differences. Results-wise, you know, as a team, from a collective standpoint, the numbers haven't drastically changed. But overall, like instead of Jaren being your leading scorer, Ja Morant is your leading scorer now. Zach Edey is dominating on the glass. You know, it's kind of those different features. But now the goal, to me, is you have to figure out a way to maximize all of these guys who have had great stretches in one or the other offense. And what I mean by that is Ja Morant, we talked about it 100 times, you know, guys, about how, is the old offense when Taylor Jenkins and Noah LaRoche and those guys were here wasn't really maximizing Ja Morant. Well, you're maximizing Ja now. Ja in March and April has had his best stretch of the season. But now Jaren has had 2 of his, I wouldn't say worst months, but statistically speaking, he was playing better than he is now. So Jaren has kind of went down some. Luke Kennard and Santi, you know, Luke especially, have went down some. And Luke, as we've learned, is kind of, you know, he's better with the ball in his hands a little bit. When you take the balls out of his hands, and he's kind of a spot-up shooter, and, you know, he's going to come and go. You know, now you see me, one game he's going to have 15 points, going to make some threes. Then the next game he's just going to be out there running around. But you got to kind of find the balance. Like, how can you? And it's more so with the stars. It's more so with Jaren. It's more so with Dez. It's more so with Ja. How can you maximize all three of them at the same time? We've seen stretches where it looks like they can do it, but you're going to need that consistently to win in the postseason.
You're going to need that, and you're going to need some modicum of defense, and it just hadn't been very much last Thursday night. The Grizzlies were just running around, just lost defensively against Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on here, guys, like before the Taylor Jenkins stuff even happened. Because I remember I was talking to y'all about it, and it was like, look, at the end of the day, if you tell me, hey, I'm gonna trade your most decorated perimeter defender, injuries and all that, sure, yeah, but I'm gonna trade your most decorated guy. I'm gonna trade a guy who's young and hasn't shown you a lot, but defensively he took some real strides this year in Jake LaRavia. And what you're gonna rely on the defensive end is a rookie who's been solid, but he's a rookie. You're gonna rely on another guy in Vince Williams who's had two major injuries this year. He started the season hurt because of a foot injury. He came back in November, played 3 games, grade 3 ankle sprain. We didn't see him again until February. So you're gonna rely on him. You're gonna rely on a rookie, and you're gonna rely on a guy, Scottie Pippen Jr., who is playing great defense now. But that wasn't his calling card pretty much most of his career up until this point. So it's not the best, like you just don't have the star pieces to anchor, that type of defense. There's no Tony Allen where you say, okay, he's going to eliminate this player for us. There's no Dylan Brooks where you say, hey, maybe he eliminates him. Even if he doesn't eliminate him, he's going to work his butt off and he's going to he may get in their head or something like that. Scotty, I think, is an irritant at times. Vince Williams, at his best, has been that. But yeah, it's a big question because you got Steph Curry, and I know people are going to point to that 52-point game that he recently had against the Grizzlies, but you got to remember before that, Steph played the Grizzlies 2 times this season. He combined to have 15 points and shot 4 of 16 from the field in those 2 games. Steph struggled against the Grizzlies. I think it was the first time in his career he had a game where he didn't make a field goal. I think he shot like 0 of 7 in one game against the Grizzlies and had 2 points. So the Grizzlies in those first 2 games, and it was a lot of Jalen Wells. It was the way they were guarding him. They did a really good job against Steph, and now the challenge is trying to duplicate that in a way.
Mm-hmm. There's obviously was a lot of talk throughout the season about what will the 2 rookies look like in postseason play. Well, we know we won't see Jalen Wells after that injury, but Zach Edey, he has played well against the Warriors this season. What do you expect to see from Zach Edey tomorrow night against Golden State, especially after what we've seen from him over the last couple of weeks, really, thriving with more pick and roll, getting a ton of rebounds, getting a ton of points. What do you expect to see from the big man rookie tomorrow night?
Man, I hate to throw too much on him, but he's one of the biggest keys to the series. He is one of the biggest keys to the series. Golden State historically has not been a really good rebounding team. This year they're pretty solid. Golden State can rebound the basketball somewhat, but Zach Edey's size is a conundrum for them because they're going to try to go small. They're going to try to put Draymond Green at center. And I've seen, Golden State in those games. Like, I know people will point out in that last game, Zach Edey was, I believe, plus 13, and Golden State won that game. But I saw, we were sitting right there. We saw Steph Curry, every time Zach Edey was in the game, he hunted that matchup. Now, the result from a team standpoint weren't there, but you can tell they feel confident. I think that's the way of putting it. Mm-hmm. Golden State feels confident that when Zach Edey's on the floor, we can go at him and we can make some things happen. Now, it's up to Zach Edey to prove that that's not the case, right? So I think that's going to be the ultimate chess match. Golden State, their eyes are going to get big, and the Warriors are going to say, look, we can go at him. We're going to play him off the floor. They're going to try to do the 1-5 pick and roll with Draymond and Steph, try to put him in some tough spots. But Zach Edey, look, he's been going through it all season long. They need him to be really good because you'd rather him be on the floor. If you have Zach Edey and Jaren Jackson Jr. on the floor together, that's a mismatch for Jaren, too, because, You got to figure out who Draymond's going to guard in that situation. So Zach Edey playing and his availability kind of helped, Jaren Jackson Jr. in a way too. So he is, to me, guys, he's one of the biggest keys to this series.
Who should be the fourth offensive option? Ja, Jaren, Bain. Who should be fourth?
I mean, it's going to be Santi, more than like, just because Santi's going to shoot the ball. Santi's not going to come out there and pass up shots. When Santi gets on the floor, shots are going up. Other than Santi, I think what we'll see over the course of this series is Scottie Pippen Jr. will have the ball in his hands a lot. Scotty's going to play a lot. I think everyone should be prepared. To me, he's the sixth man now. He's kind of become the sixth man. He's the first guard off the bench. He's playing 30-plus minutes, in recent games. Vince Williams Jr. is starting, but I think, especially with Steph Curry being priority one, we could see him, Scottie Pippen Jr., getting that matchup a lot. And, what he's doing on the defensive end, is gonna make him kind of a focal point offensively in a way too.
Yeah, and he's played really well. I mean, he is kind of shined over these last couple of weeks. Overall, under Tomas Isolo, what have you seen from the guys? How do you think this team has responded to their interim coach over the last 9 games of the regular season?
Yeah, the first thing you want to see is things to look different, right? Like, it's got to look different. It can't look the same way. It does look different. Different things are being emphasized and whatnot. Different players are being focal points. We just talked about how Ja and Zach Edey are playing really well. But at the same time, the results have been similar from the standpoint. They're still not beating the top teams. They're still struggling to close out games like we saw pretty much in both of those games. Timberwolves, Nuggets, struggling to close out the top teams. And this is going to be a really big test. And I think this playoff run, or the postseason run, however you want to describe it, how the Grizzlies perform on this stage will be a big determining factor in how confident they are in Isolo going forward.
Mm.
Oh, you think he's coaching for his job?
I think he's coaching for the security of it. I think at the end of the day, I think he's in a very good spot to keep the job regardless. But if you want to kind of end any questions, I think if he goes to the playoffs, let's say they play Houston and they go 7 games, they look different. You see some good adjustments or whatever the case may be. I think that'll pretty much quiet that whole conversation.
We're getting stories today from out of Denver that Josh Kroenke was saying the coach and GM firings were months in the making. Do you think Taylor Jenkins' firing was months, plural, in the making?
No, I don't think so. I think this is, the Taylor Jenkins thing happened a little bit faster. I mean, this was a team that was the number 2 seed. They were in a pretty good spot, man. They were in a really good spot. And then there were frustrating things that were happening, but everything that happened since the All-Star break kind of led to this.
Yeah. I'm just looking on ESPN right now. They had all of their basketball experts predict the play-in games. It was 9-1 Warriors to only 1 Grizzly. Ramona Shelburne, the only expert that thinks the Grizzlies can beat the Warriors tomorrow night. Let's say the Warriors do win tomorrow night against the Memphis Grizzlies. Obviously, then, it feels like you're in a weird spot if you're the Grizzlies. If you beat either Dallas or Sacramento, you get a 7-game series with OKC. Obviously, if you lose that second game, it's on to the offseason. What do you make of a Grizzlies matchup with either Dallas or Sacramento?
Man, I mean, they'll be at home, so a very winnable game, no matter who they play in this, and they should win. But I mean, it's to play OKC. Like it's not really something to get too excited about.
Yeah, it feels like a lose-lose, honestly.
Yeah, but you play to win the game, and quite frankly, even if they do go against OKC, I think it'll be a good litmus test to kind of show where this team is going forward as they go into this pivotal offseason. Like look at it from the standpoint if you go against OKC, you win a couple games, you feel a little bit better about what you need to do this offseason to get to the top of the Western Conference. Whereas if you don't win any games, you feel like, man, we're pretty far off, from the top, and it's time to look in the mirror. So I think when you talk about those two teams, though, I want to make sure I touch on that. Sacramento losing Malik Monk, I think it's a big loss for them, because the teams that really, to me, present the biggest problems for the Grizzlies are the teams that have those dynamic perimeter scorers. And if you have those guys, you're making Desmond Bain, you're making Ja Morant have to really guard. And that was the problem when the Grizzlies played the Lakers, right? The Lakers had Austin Reeves, they have Luka, they have LeBron, and you force some of the guys on the Grizzlies who typically don't have to guard those caliber of players to guard those type of guys. So if you talk about with Dallas, you talk about with Sacramento, that won't be as much of a problem. Whereas when you talk about OKC, you got Shea Gilgeous. Somebody's going to have to guard Jalen Williams. And then you talk about the front court, mismatches they got over there. So different caliber of test. That's why, look, this game against Golden State, it's going to be a big one. But, they're 0-8 in Cali this year. The Grizzlies are 0-8 in Cali this year. You want to find a way to make that 1-8 so you can go to Houston and at least give yourself a fighting chance.
Yeah, that'd be a great series if they could get Houston. I remember earlier this season you being on with us and saying you'd love to see a 7-game series between the Grizzlies
for sure.
and Houston. So we definitely could see that here if the Grizzlies can beat Golden State tomorrow night. DeMichael, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate you giving us some time this afternoon. And enjoy that game tomorrow night.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks, DeMichael.
Thank you. DeMichael Cole with us from the Commercial Appeal on all things Grizzlies. I get this from Jimmy Shapiro at betonline.ag. Let's look at all the preseason over-under totals on wins and losses. The Grizzlies were at 47.5. They got there by a half.
Wow. Holy cow.
48.
Holy cow.
Two teams did that. Toronto did the same thing. They got to their win total by a half game. Detroit, a plus 18.5 overachieving. Cleveland, 15.5. Wow. The Clippers, 14.5. Oklahoma City, 11.5. Chicago, 10.5. Oklahoma City, the only team to make the top 5 overachiever list 2 seasons in a row. Jimmy writes last season plus 12.5, and he said he can guarantee they'll not be top 5 next year.
No. Yeah, that's going to be a much larger win total next year, especially if they have a lot of playoff success this year. But yeah, they've been the story of the NBA these last 2 seasons with how they've been able to build this and put together this team. It has been it's been really, really impressive. And now I think, can they do it in the postseason? I definitely think they can, and they could certainly get to an NBA
Feels
finals.
hopeless for tomorrow night, and I hate to feel like that, but if sprung the big upset, I think it would do a lot for everyone, and then that puncher's chance against Houston.
Yeah, well, I think, DeMichael certainly didn't make me feel any better with the 0-8 on the West Coast, and that, definitely makes you feel better getting likely Sacramento at home in the next game. But no, I mean, you're like you said earlier, it's a 3-1 series. That one game that the Grizzlies won, super lopsided, and it feels like the rest of the year the Warriors made it their mission to get that payback. So,
they love making us miserable, don't they?
They do. It's easy for them. When you have Steph Curry going out there and just knocking down anything he wants, it can make a lot of people feel miserable.
And Draymond and that coach and everything.
Absolutely.
DeMichael Cole joined us on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies. That great location at 4542 Poplar, over 9,000 square feet in Laurelwood, with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier, diamonds, and more. Huge supporter of Tigers athletics as well. The Mid-South's largest selection of one-of-a-kind jewelry, engagement rings, wedding bands, necklaces, earrings, that special moment in your life coming up, like graduation, a great graduation gift, and into the summer, engagement season, any season, they're there for you. Since 1970, with all the locations across the Mid-South, Sissy's, they offer a selection of diamonds, estate jewelry, and fine gifts. The official jeweler for the Grizzlies and at FedEx Forum with the floor seat lounge. We want to enjoy that a couple of more times this year. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary shopping experience, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Well, we've talked a lot today and even last week about this Nico situation that took place over the weekend. Maybe some of the places that he could land. I saw this earlier on On3. I mentioned it, that there was a crystal ball on 247 Sports. I believe it was the Florida State lead writer had forecast Nico to land at North Carolina. Now Pete Nakos reporting that North Carolina is out of the mix for Nico. He reported that the Tar Heels are viewed to be the favorite to land South Alabama quarterback Gio Lopez. So it sounds like North Carolina not going to be the landing spot for Nico.
Coach Prime said over the weekend, linked to Colorado. Xavier Hill, the Tigers' offensive lineman, he's headed to Colorado.
That's right.
And Bryant, I think a lot of people were ready to pounce if he had gone to somewhere in the neighborhood.
Sure.
Tennessee, Ole Miss, SEC. I mean, we're ready to be enraged over it. I don't feel quite the rage over him going to Colorado. Why?
That's a good question. I mean, I think you just laid it out because it's not in your neighborhood. It's not
out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I think
still losing a great player.
Sure,
he's still not playing for Memphis next year.
Right.
But you could feel, I mean, just ready to people to be enraged over it. And Coach Prime, I guess that's acceptable.
Yeah, I think it's that. It's not someone in people's minds, someone jumping your back fence and stealing a guy out of the backyard. So I guess, a little different when he lands at Colorado. But no, it's a busy time with this second post-spring portal. It opens up on Wednesday. Obviously, the big name now will be Nico and where he goes. I don't know. I mean, it feels like now that, it might be one of those West Coast schools, one of the California schools, maybe where he's from. So,
and we said it during the course of last year. I thought he was good. I couldn't believe how small he played.
Yeah.
Both stature and big plays. And indelible with me is dipping the ball out of bounds in that Arkansas game on the last play. Do something. Keep running. Throw it up for grabs. He just took a powder.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do something. I think, that's what I've heard a lot of people say. I think, David Cobb said it as well. It's hard to, not go above and beyond in a season and then go and ask for a pay raise like that.
Now in hindsight, especially how they fell behind 14-0 early to Vandy. That comeback was pretty good for him and them that day. Because if they lose to Vandy, that's Ole Miss in the playoffs.
No, it definitely is. And so, and speaking of playoffs, David mentioned it, but now reports coming out that Nico floated the idea of sitting out during the playoffs if he didn't get
don't you think it was
contract.
Probably a lot of places?
Oh, it was everywhere, and that's I saw that, and I don't remember now who reported it, but I saw it, and he made sure to say that it was not just Nico. Obviously, talking about Nico right now because of what is happening now, but that it was going on in a lot of places, and that's going to kind of be the next big thing.
And imagine how many after everybody got home from playoffs and bowl games.
Oh, yeah.
I know the year before, Alabama didn't get back to Tuscaloosa good until a lot of the team, including Jalen Milroe, went to Coach Saban and said, we need more, and that was part of I've had enough.
Yep, and you're seeing that pretty much everywhere. When the season comes to an end, it's time to get back to the negotiation table and try to figure something out. But we'll definitely talk a lot about this Nico situation. Obviously, the transfer portal officially opening on Wednesday, and we'll see where he lands. Before we get to a break, let me remind you about our great 5 o'clock sponsors. It's Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984, and their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Sport. A Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender. Available in multiple models to fit your needs, the Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com, but head out there, test drive these vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince, for Bluff City Jaguar. Well, let's get to another break, and when we return, we'll talk about what's trending.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom-made solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 912-771-5199.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Spring is really one of the best times of year for sports and visiting Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect downtown neighborhood bar. The Bell Tavern is a sports bar, but with the beginning of baseball, the stretch run for the Grizzlies, and everything else that's going on, there is simply no better place to be than Bell Tavern. One thing people say all the time is that they have made more friends at Bell Tavern than they have at any other bar, and that's because Bell Tavern is a grown-up bar where people treat one another with respect, and that's how you make friends. You go to a friendly place and find out what you have in common, like, say, Bell Tavern.
Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Ken Garland, you are in your 72nd year of business. Your son William is now joining you. What do you think is the key to your longevity in the building business?
My dad started the business in 1965, and I think being on the job sites daily and being accessible to homeowners has been a key to our success.
You guys have a work ethic, as you like to say. You're not hiring people to be on the site. You guys are there every day.
We interact with the subcontractors multiple times a day on each job site. You know, I think that has been a key, as well as using the same subcontractors 20 plus years in most cases.
When you talk about materials, what is the first thing you're thinking about when somebody comes to you to build a home?
we're just trying to meet the expectations of the client and the homeowner and the architect and give them what their dream is.
When you get a Ken Garland home, what do you guarantee?
We'll be there after the job is finished. We're still accessible to all our clients.
Now I need to know, how do I get a hold of Ken Garland?
You can reach us at kengarland.com.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still some traffic volume. Trying to get 240 southbound here coming out of Midtown, right at South Parkway as you work your way down past Norris now. It's busy, no surprise. On 240 East, let's say from Mill Branch out to Mount Moriah as you get on to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. Continuing south of Memphis, still moving right now, 55 down through South Haven. Dandelions, crabgrass, you want to get rid of all this? Make your yard look really green this spring. Call Lawn Solutions at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. We got about 30 minutes left in today's show. We got to talk about what's trending. And what's trending today, Tiger basketball news. Over the weekend, we got some, and today we've gotten some. The most recent news being the commitment of Julius Thedford, coming off his true freshman season at Western Kentucky, a Memphis native, played at Whitehaven and Cordova in high school, was a 3-star out of high school, and like I mentioned, just finished his freshman season at Western Kentucky, where in, I believe, 18 games, he averaged 12.4 points, 3.8 rebounds per game, shot 42.8% from the field, 36.6% from three. So a nice shooting guard that could bring some scoring for you, a young guy that could stay a couple of years and develop in Penny Hardaway's system, a Memphis kid. So I like that pickup by the Tigers. But over the weekend, there was another pickup, Ashton Hardaway. He is going to return to Memphis after spending his sophomore season at St. Mary's and seeing very limited time. He entered the transfer portal, and now, as of yesterday, Saturday was when he committed to the University of Memphis, and will be returning next year.
And this year, what changed? Did he get better at St. Mary's?
Well, I guess the argument could be you couldn't tell. I mean, he didn't see the floor. So I think probably not, but, didn't see the floor. So I could not tell you yes or no because you just didn't see him out there.
And you would just surmise if he could help, they would have had him in there for a good team that had a really good season. I don't know what it does other than we could hit the point with him just like we did with Jaden, that when he checks in, the crowd will groan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, that was that year. Obviously, when Ashton was a freshman, and Jaden was a senior, it really felt like a lot of times, both of them would find the floor, close to each other at the same time, and, it would be kind of that audible groan from everybody of, okay, here they come again. So, I think...
Can they play?
Yeah, and, for Ashton, maybe obviously will now be a junior, certainly you would think has developed and, maybe can give you something, but it's just yet to be seen. And
he can't do a lot off the dribble. Mm-mm. He's really just a kind of a stationary, get-set shooter.
Yeah.
And didn't have, except for one game down in the Bahamas against Michigan.
That's right, yeah.
What was the red letter game?
No, there wasn't one. There wasn't one. And so, I guess you're hoping that, he shows a little bit more now as a junior. But coming back.
If he shines against that competition next year in AAC, which I don't need any more proof to know how bad it is. But if he goes out there and just rips it apart, then it just definitive how bad that league is, which I knew that to begin. I know that already.
Yeah, I mean, do you really need more proof at this point? But no, so 2 commitments over the weekend, including today with Julius Thedford, which I think a pickup that The hope is being a Memphis guy will be a sophomore next year, a guy that can come in and really develop and be kind of that
I'm optimistic
3-year
about
guy.
that.
Yeah, and so I think, a good pickup there for Memphis, a guy that maybe you can have for a couple of years. The other news for Tiger basketball was announced this morning, a bye game with New Orleans, so that will be on the schedule as part of the non-conference schedule. And so now, slowly starting to kind of come into picture what this non-conference slate will look like. Now New Orleans you will play at home as a bye game. San Francisco will return for that home and home. UNLV will come here. We already know that will be a November 16th game. And then you've got Ole Miss and Mississippi State on the road. So you have that. I know.
Well, that's 5.
That's 5. And I know Jason Munns did a story today where he talked about Memphis was supposed to be a part, and we have kind of talked about this a little bit, kind of where are they going next year in terms of MTE. They were supposed to be a part of the Diamond Head Classic, but that was announced they are not going to be playing a tournament this year for the Diamond Head Classic. So kind of up
they've
in the
had
air.
3 in a row before this year.
That's right.
22, 23, 24 non-conference.
That's right. And so up in the air on where they'll play. I know Jason reported in that story that they're trying to get into the Players era. Don't know if that will happen.
How many teams in that? Aren't we up to 19?
We're up to 19, so maybe if they want a round number, I know they're going up to, after this year, they're going up to 32 teams after this year, so it's going to be a lot of teams.
Will they have games like every night in all those different venues around Vegas?
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if it's gonna be like that or if it's kind of stretched out into multiple weeks with kind of different sessions. I don't really know how it's going to work.
That's going to be better budget-wise than going to Hawaii.
No, definitely. And it feels like a lot of teams are wanting to be a part of that because of the NIL incentive, with that tournament. So, still unclear on what the Tigers, but that will certainly, it sounds like they'll be in an MTE, and that will add a couple of games. So, starting to get an idea of what this non-conference schedule will look like for the Tigers.
Schedule being pieced together, roster being pieced together. That's for everybody out there in college basketball. That's not just the Tigers. The linchpin, the key piece is P.J. Haggerty, though.
Yeah, and the waiting game continues, and now we're down to single-digit days until that decision needs to be made. April 22nd is the last day to enter the transfer portal if you want to be eligible next year without a waiver. So, it feels like this week or early next week we will hear something from P.J. Haggerty on if he's staying or going.
At minimum, doesn't Penny Hardaway and the University of Memphis deserve kind of an early heads-up, not that last-second decision like David Jones?
Maybe.
Or it's just the times?
I think that's just the times. I think, I think you would say if you're going to go out there and weigh your options, just say it. Just say, hey, I'm going to enter the transfer portal. I'm going to look at my options. You're still a possibility. I still might decide I want to stay at Memphis, but I want to weigh them out. Obviously, the playing this game and kind of waiting around, it's hard for a lot of people. I'm sure it's hard for Penny Hardaway trying to build his roster and trying to kind of budget what his roster is going to look like. But on the other side of that, PJ Haggerty's a fantastic player, and if he wants to take this time, that's on him, and he has that right based on when the transfer portal closes.
And all these way too early top 25s, they're just meaningless.
Oh, yeah.
But all but a waste of breath to even discuss it. But you see the Tigers on no list.
No. And certainly if PJ Haggerty comes back, I think they'll be around there. I don't know where they would be. Obviously, would have to add pieces. But I think all of this, I've heard so many people talk about it's been slow this offseason with getting guys to commit to Memphis. Everything's waiting on P.J. Haggerty. I really do think once P.J. Haggerty makes a decision one way or the other, you're going to see more visits. You're going to see
I bet some scheduling is waiting on P.J. Haggerty.
It definitely could be. I think a lot weighs on that because, especially from a roster perspective, if we're saying P.J. Haggerty's going for the price that's out there, maybe Memphis can get a better deal on that. Well, that's a couple million that if P.J. Haggerty comes back, you won't have to for X player over here. If he goes somewhere else, well, then that's $2 million thereabout that now you have to go out and give to this player or that player that maybe you wouldn't be able to get if P.J. Haggerty's coming back. So I do think once we get a decision on P.J. Haggerty, I think roster, schedule, I think a lot of that will start making a lot of ground, and we'll start to get a much better idea on what next year will look like.
We know there are some teams from the SEC that aren't going to play. Tennessee and Arkansas aren't going to play. Yeah. Tennessee's not going to play anywhere. Arkansas is not going to play home and home. I don't even know if John Calipari would agree to maybe FedEx Forum, Bud Walton Arena, and two neutrals. Sure. Nashville and North Little Rock. I don't know why you would do that. So to continue the SEC thing, there are a couple of teams that you've kind of done it with. A&M, Alabama, years ago South Carolina, years ago Georgia, Mizzou. If national champs Florida called and said home and home, but kind of in the Mizzou slot, so it'd be go there first, would you take it?
Book it, absolutely. I'd take it every day. I mean, Florida, obviously where they're at right now, they are definitely at the top of the sport with the national championship, and so they'll have a lot going for them next year and into the next couple of years being a recent national championship. But you look at Todd Golden and what he was able to do at San Francisco, what he's building and has already built at Florida. It feels like that is going to be a really good program for a while, and so I would whatever they say the terms are on setting up something.
Would you do it opening night?
Absolutely.
Like Mizzou, I would too.
100%, especially with
it would be a good time to get them.
It would be a perfect time. A lot of eyes on them, and what can they do? I think that'd be a great spot to play Florida early. And I don't know if Florida would want to play you first game of the season, but
I'm trying to think who else has it been a while for in the SEC. I think you can rule Kentucky out. Everybody else kind of have had something with them.
Definitely, yeah.
Somewhat lately.
Sure, and
I guess Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma and Texas.
Oklahoma
kind of forget
Texas,
about them.
Sure. I guess it's been a little bit more time with Oklahoma, but you did have that series with them in the teens. So that'd be one I'd go and try to set up with Oklahoma. Try maybe if Texas wanted to do some. If you talk about teams that you've had recent history with, I'd go to Vanderbilt and try to set something up with them.
Again,
with a new regime there, and certainly a new style of basketball, more exciting. I'd go to Vanderbilt and try to set something up with them. I think there are suitors out there. I think there are SEC teams that will play you. There's a couple that won't play you, but I think keep Louisville circled. It sounded like there was a lot of smoke last year with something getting set up there. Maybe you could definitely do that. And Penny Hardaway is swinging for the fences with anything.
What about Houston and Cincinnati?
Well, I absolutely, and I think Houston would be in on that, and so I would love to get that back on the schedule. Cincinnati, I think they would do it, and I think that would be another fun one. I think you have options out there if
got to
if
improve
want to do it.
crowds.
Oh, definitely. And so I think there are ways. I think certainly you bring Houston in, and I think there'd be a ton of people ready to go for that one. Certainly you bring anybody from the SEC in, and there would be a big crowd. So no, it's slowly starting to form for next year, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it and see how this roster looks, how the schedule looks here in a month or two. But Brett, you are absolutely right. Everything comes down to when we get a decision on P.J. Haggerty. But let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day, and when we return, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
It's the Freedom of Choice pricing program, Ram Truck Month and Jeep Celebration all in one at Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat Auto buy 2025 Compass Latitude 4x4, $49.69 off MSRP at $24,796 with Jeep Select Terrain System. Go from snow, sand, and mud. 2024 Dodge Hornet RT all-wheel drive, $12,673 off, or $397 a month with a turbocharged 2.0-liter engine standard. One of the most powerful SUVs in its class, or 0% for 72 months is available. 2025 Ram 1500 Tradesman Crew Cab with best-in-class payload capacity, now $13,335 off MSRP, or 1.9 for 72 is available. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
6704 MSRP 29765 Hornet R3 A08 452 MSRP 44620 Ram SN 673 402 MSRP 5170 includes all rebates and incentives PF 895 excludes tax title license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid to end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I plug mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Five-Ash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With two conveyor lines and the largest match ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com. You're hungry for good meat? Trust the family that has been feeding you since 1967. Charlie Hogan, Triangle Meat Company. Trust Triangle Meat for fresh beef, hamburger, and rub. Trust Triangle Meat for delicious pork ribs, chops, and buns. And trust Triangle Meat for tender chicken, no rub. Eating lots of pork, Triangle Meat Company has all the meat you need. Shop Triangle Meat Company, 8 Monday through Saturday, 4790 Summer Avenue, 901-683-1192. Fresh or frozen, big or small, trust Triangle Meat Company.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelet, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf, or one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets. Count your blessings, not your calories.
Spring is really one of the best times of year for sports and visiting Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect downtown neighborhood bar. The Bell Tavern is a sports bar, but with the beginning of baseball, the stretch run for the Grizzlies, and everything else that's going on, there is simply no better place to be than Bell Tavern. One thing people say all the time is that they have made more friends at Bell Tavern than they have at any other bar, and that's because Bell Tavern is a grown-up bar where people treat one another with respect, and that's how you make friends. You go to a friendly place and find out what you have in common, like, say, Bell Tavern.
Pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskell.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today, it feels like every day we have a new professional player becoming a general manager at their former university. And today, Max Crosby joins that club as he became Eastern Michigan's assistant general manager for the football team. So
is it a part-time job?
Well, it might be for him, just with that big old fat deal he got earlier this offseason for the Raiders. Why not spend your extra time helping out your old university? Max Crosby, he's done a lot for
I didn't know he went to Eastern Michigan.
He sure did. I believe donated a bunch of money to their new facilities and stadium.
Nice.
He loves Eastern Michigan and now definitely showing his love as assistant general manager. That's one of those really cool. We see a lot with the big names. Obviously, one similar to this would be Davidson and Steph Curry becoming their general manager. But being a football player and being recruited by Eastern Michigan and having Max Crosby giving you a call and trying to set up visits and different stuff like that for you. I mean, that's got to be cool, especially with the career he has with the Raiders. But this feels like the common thing in college athletics now. These current professionals helping out their college teams by becoming general managers, or in this case, assistant general managers.
What I learned today is the axe falls on Bud in Phoenix. That expiration date for winning it all with Milwaukee, it passed quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, it really
if you
did.
can't make the playoffs with KD, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and plenty of others, Grayson Allen, some decent parts on that team, then I think you probably should be fired.
Yeah, and I think it's the good question of you've heard so many people talk about it. Is the Big Three dead in the NBA? We saw for so long having that Big Three was huge, and now because of salary and different things like that, you're seeing less and less teams go with that traditional Big Three stars.
Where will KD play next year?
Man, that might be the biggest question of all.
What about a trade to Memphis that involved Ja Morant?
Ooh, well, Brett, there's a lot of things I would trade for Kevin Durant, and Ja Morant might be one of them. I don't know. KD is KD. I mean, there's only very few players in the NBA.
Plenty
that I would
left,
say,
we think?
I think so. There's only a few players in the NBA that I would say whole team's available for him. Kevin Durant falls in that category, for me at least. I'm a huge Kevin Durant fan. What I could have done without today, it's really the sad story about former LSU wide receiver Kyron Lacey that came out yesterday, was found deceased Saturday night to an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound after a police chase. It sounds like some mental issues there. His sister called the authorities because of some mental health issues that he was going through, and then ultimately wound up with him being dead. Very sad story.
He had the winning touchdown in overtime
Sure
against Ole Miss last
Sure
fall.
did. I mean, a great receiver and getting ready for the NFL draft. Had some other off-the-field issues back in December, was involved in a wreck that ended up killing the other driver. So really a sad last couple of months for him and his family. Definitely prayers to them, because this is just a situation you never want anybody to have to go through, especially with a guy that looked like he was heading to the NFL.
I hear what I could do without it. I hear from so many people that going to sports now, that it's kind of passé, it's kind of over. Since the scan count release about Tiger basketball, I've heard every excuse in the world on why not to go to games, and and some just say those days are come and gone. People just don't go like that. Well, I know this weekend in Oxford, 33,941 over the weekend in Oxford to see Ole Miss and Tennessee. Plenty of Tennessee fans there. I was there on Saturday, but that was in little old Oxford to draw almost 34,000 for college baseball. It's not easy to find college baseball on a lot of TVs, but it's also proof that people will go to sports if they're interested in it. Tiger basketball for a while now has been going the other way. Instead of making all these excuses about it, why don't we address the issue?
Yeah, man, that was a great weekend. I mean, all 3 days looked like fantastic crowds in Oxford for what was a really good
and
baseball
it wasn't
series.
puffed up crowds. That was legit.
Yeah, it was definitely some good crowds. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me too. It's all baseball for us, isn't
yeah,
it, tonight? Royals in the Bronx against the Yankees. That was some great ALCSs in the day. Two teams that I think will be in the mix all year and probably in October play. Lugo against Carrasco tonight. Bobby Witt versus Aaron Judge. Who's the bigger star?
I would say Aaron Judge, especially in that
Judge is in.
neighborhood. Judge rules for the Yankees. Being me to a game that's already started. Nationals and Pirates, two really good pitchers. Brad Lord, who is making his 4th appearance, only 2nd start on the season, going up against Paul Skeens. We know how good he is. Pirates only 5-11 to start the season. They definitely want to get a win behind Paul Skeens.
'Twas the night before play-in and all through the house. Yeah. What's stirring?
My
Any
nightmares,
hopes?
I don't know.
Feels like it doesn't. All baseball tonight. Cubs at San Diego. 3-12 Rockies in L.A. against the 3rd-place Dodgers.
Yeah,
the Angels are in 1st in L.A.
How about that? Look out, Angels. The other L.A. team came to play, but Dodgers definitely need a win tonight. It feels like they'll get it. Rockies, really tough weekend for them, but it should be a fun night. Like you said, all baseball, some good games. Not everybody going, obviously, with a Monday night, but it should be a good night of action. Well, that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.